The local Cleveland media keep going relentless on Shedeur. He entitled, distracted, developing slow, can't learn the playbook, not getting practice reps with the scout team, not getting practice reps at all. But what if I told you? Then don't none of that got to do nothing with football. This goes deeper than people realize. If y'all ain't seen the Tom Brady came out on Colin Cowherd, now this is pertaining to the Browns saying they developing quarterback.
Tom Brady just lit up the league. Did he basically accuse the Cleveland Browns of sabotaging? He all but said Cleveland can't develop quarterbacks, and fans instantly knew who he meant. In one interview, he pulled the curtain back. Some teams aren't failing young QBs. If that's true, Shedeur never got a fair shot. Tossed into chaos, blamed for the results, left to sink on his own. Shedeur Sanders setting them up to fail. Now the question is everywhere. Did the Browns sabotage their own future and think nobody would notice? This didn't come from a random burner. It came while Brady was talking quarterback development calm and measured. Then boom, a line that froze timelines. It started quiet on the herd with Colin Cowherd. Nothing spicy, just development talk. And then Brady dropped it. There's a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing when they're tasked with coaching a quarterback. One sentence, and every eye swung to Cleveland. Because if the shoe fits, it's stomping on a season right now. That's all it took. One sentence, and the internet exploded. Within minutes, fans connected the dots. Cleveland, Shedeur Sanders, sabotage. Brady never said names, but he didn't have to. He spoke about coaches ranked 32nd out of 32, about young quarterbacks getting zero guidance, and about teams pretending to develop talent while quietly destroying it from the inside. And to casual fans, it sounded like a league-wide rant.
Everybody knows how to develop a quarterback. You're assuming that you're going into a program. I mean, I'm telling you, this is not... There's a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing when they're tasked with coaching a quarterback or calling an offense. So are you saying, I mean, just like we'd rank quarterbacks 1 to 32, do you rank offensive coordinators 1 to 32? Do you rank quarterback coaches 1 to 32? Well, what if you have the 32nd ranked coordinator in someone's mind with the 32nd ranked quarterback coach? How is he getting a level of development that the guy who's first is getting?
But to anyone following the Browns, it hit way too close. Chaotic coaching, mixed signals, and a rookie quarterback treated like a burden instead of a blueprint. The reaction? Instant. Clips of the segment flooded X. Analysts pairing Brady's words with footage of Shedeur standing on the sideline during drills. By sundown, hashtag Brady exposes the Browns was trending league-wide. It wasn't just critique, it was a warning shot.
Let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance with the play calling. You know you have an offensive line that isn't playing that well. So what do? Why not just play the short game so he can get the ball out of his hands very fast to run a competent goddamn offense? Outside of that, Shedeur has to be better in understanding that the offensive line that you're working with right now is not adequate. Why not allow the players that are competing for a job, in this instance, Shedeur Sanders, to finish off the 2 minutes?
Brady said out loud what players whisper privately. The NFL doesn't have a player development problem. It has a coaching crisis. And no team embodies that more than Cleveland, the franchise that hits reset every offseason and calls it growth while chaos runs the show. This is where theory turns into reality. Because when you look at how Cleveland's handled Shedeur Sanders, it's hard not to call it what it is, a setup. He's barely seen first-team reps, stuck running drills with third stringers, then suddenly tossed into live action and told to prove himself. No rhythm, no chemistry, no preparation. That's not development. That's sabotage disguised as opportunity. Even veteran analysts are calling it out. You don't build a quarterback by isolating him from starters and then blaming him when it falls apart. Yet the media keeps twisting it. Shedeur's not ready. He's distracted. He's struggling to adapt. Of course he's struggling. The system's broken. It's like asking someone to fly a plane after removing the wings. Brady recognized it immediately. He lived through chaos but had real structure and mentors. Shedeur, he's surrounded by people who talk development but don't deliver. And that's why Brady's words detonated the internet. He wasn't speaking hypothetically. He was describing Cleveland. Within hours, clips of the segment went viral, and hashtag Brown Sabotage was trending across NFL Twitter. Cleveland's local media tried to defend the team and instantly made it worse. Instead of addressing Brady's point, they went after Shedeur, calling him entitled, unfocused, not ready for the pros. Classic misdirection. Blame the player, protect the system. But this time, fans weren't fooled. Every clip, Every quote, every offhand comment from Brown's staff suddenly looks suspicious.
Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to tell you why. I think he's being set up to fail. That's right, I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Here we are on national television, right? There's been 11 practices, if I remember correctly. He's been starting against he's been playing against the third unit. He's fourth on the depth chart. And then suddenly you throw him into the start lineup, and he hasn't had any reps with the first team at all. Think about that. So you're just gonna throw him to the wolves like that, huh? I mean, you know, if he had first team snaps in practice.
Why was Shedeur kept from first team reps? Why was he doing interviews if the team claimed he wasn't part of their plan? And why did ownership act like they barely knew who he was? Then Stephen A. Smith entered the chat, and the story detonated. He didn't just agree with Brady. He called it entrapment, saying the Browns didn't give Shedeur a chance to succeed, they set him up to fail. When Louis Riddick backed him with data on reps and coaching structure, the debate ended. For the first time, people saw Cleveland not as cursed, but as culpable. The pattern was undeniable. If every quarterback fails, maybe the problem isn't the player, it's the system. And that's exactly what Brady wanted everyone to understand. In the NFL, players get graded in public, but coaches hide behind excuses. The pattern never changes because accountability never climbs up the ladder. Brady's message was simple, but devastating. You can't expect elite results from average coaching. You can't judge a quarterback who was never truly taught. And that's what makes Shedeur Sanders' situation so painful. This isn't about talent. It's about a system built to fail him while pretending it's helping. Then came the quote that turned bad optics into a full-blown scandal. Browns owner Jimmy Haslam casually admitted he didn't even know about Shedeur's signing. Not forgot, not misspoke. He said the decision wasn't his. The coaching staff handled it. The owner of an NFL franchise with millions invested in quarterbacks had no idea his team brought in one of the most talked about prospects in the country. That's not leadership. That's chaos in a suit. Suddenly, Brady's words made perfect sense. If the top doesn't know what's happening, how can anyone below develop a quarterback? It's like running a company where the CEO doesn't know who was just hired. The Browns tried spinning it. The usual trust the process, PR fluff, but the timing made it worse. Coming right after Brady's comments, it sounded less like confidence and more like a cover-up. Fans noticed, and Haslam's gaffe quickly became proof that nobody in Cleveland is actually steering the ship. None of it made sense, unless you believe Brady's theory. That's when public sentiment flipped. What started as Shedeur's not ready became, are the Browns setting him up? The internet connected the dots faster than the team could issue statements. Conspiracy threads turned into trending topics, and even players from other teams were liking posts calling out Cleveland's fake development.
I don't say that.
Why is the third quarterback getting interviewed? You got nothing to do with the game. Okay, it's all for media clicks. And, he's a heck of a personality, but the personality can't come out until you do something on the field. And, it's a big week for Dillon Gabriel and a big week for the Browns. I mean, making that transition for him even be available to the press.
Suddenly, this wasn't a local drama. It was a national headline, because if the GOAT says something smells off, fans start sniffing, and the deeper people looked, the uglier it got. Shedeur wasn't just struggling, he was being isolated, denied top reps, given no structure, and then blamed for the fallout. In the social media era, that's all it takes. One Brady quote turned a rookie's rough start into a public trial, and this time, the one on the stand wasn't the player, it was the franchise. Here's what makes this sting even more. Tom Brady was once Shedeur Sanders, a late-round pick, doubted, ignored, barely given reps. He sat, waited, learned in silence while the football world looked the other way. The difference? Brady had coaches who actually believed in development. Bill Belichick and Dick Ribine didn't just evaluate Brady, they built him. They gave him structure, patience, and accountability. When his quarterback coach tragically passed during camp, Belichick personally stepped in. That's how seriously they took growth. Now compare that to Cleveland, where Shedeur's in the exact same position Brady once was, except his coaches seem more invested in politics than progress. No mentorship, no leadership, no plan, just buzzwords like competition and evaluation. That's the cruel irony Brady recognizes. He knows how fragile a young quarterback's early years are, and how easily greatness gets destroyed when no one cares enough to nurture it. And Shedeur Sanders might just be the newest victim of that cycle.
I don't know why he's doing it.
You tell me. You know how that works. Is that the
front office? Is that the comms team? Like, who's putting him out? So we're saying it's not really on him. We have to protect him. He's a young player.
Yep.
Why are we making him available?
Exactly. To me, I mean, there's no sense to have him available.
Walking into a franchise that preaches growth but delivers confusion. When things go south, the blame always lands on the player, never the plan. That's why Brady's words hit so deep. He wasn't ranting, he was sounding the alarm. If the NFL keeps protecting coaches instead of developing players, it'll keep losing future stars before they even have a chance. Maybe it's time to stop rebuilding quarterbacks and start rebuilding coaches. In a league obsessed with talent, the real issue isn't who's under center, it's who's holding the clipboard. So now the question isn't if Tom Brady was right, it's how long the NFL can ignore him. When the greatest quarterback of all time says the system is broken, you don't shrug that off. You listen. Cleveland can spin and deny all they want, but the damage is done. The league just got a front row seat to how fragile development really is and how quickly it becomes sabotage when accountability disappears. Shedeur didn't ask to be part of a controversy. He just wanted a fair shot. And maybe that's what Brady's trying to give him, not through coaching, but through truth. Because when a legend exposes the system, he's not protecting one player. He's warning everyone still trapped inside. So here's the real question. If the GOAT can spot sabotage from the outside, how many young quarterbacks are being set up from within?
Kevin Stefanski gave us an update on the injury situation for the Browns.
Dillon Gabriel's dealing with a little bit of tightness in his hamstring, so he'll be limited a bit. And then Shedeur, he's good. Was sore in his arm, his thrown shoulder, but getting treatment and he should be fine.
Cleveland and Browns just took decades of drama, tossed it in a blender, smashed the chaos button, and watched it explode across national TV. Out of nowhere, whispers started flying that Shedeur Sanders might actually start for Cleveland, and within hours, the whole league was spiraling. Analysts were melting down live on air. Fans were rushing online to mock up custom Sanders jerseys like it was a royal coronation. And the Browns front office started acting like this was all part of some galaxy brain master plan, when, if we're being honest, it looks a lot more like a social experiment that lost the plot. This isn't a routine quarterback shuffle. This is an identity crisis in cleats. The Browns didn't light a spark. They dropped a match in a gas tank because the real question isn't if Shedeur plays. It's how soon the hype crushes the franchise that created it. And it all kicked off with one sentence, one casual slip from Deion Sanders that turned the rumor mill into a jet engine.
Number one, Deion Sanders spilling the tea, as they say. Is it giving the tea? Drinking the tea? Hell, who knows? I don't know what the kids say these days. To hell with it. He talking about Shedeur. He
was hanging on the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelce, joking, storytelling, being prime when he let it slip, hinting his son's time might be coming soon. One fatherly nudge, and the internet treated it like a coded message to Berea. Sports blogs instantly twisted it into Deion says Shedeur should start in Cleveland.
Deion did this week what NFL teams honestly were afraid that he was going to do. He did nothing wrong, but this is what they were afraid of. He was on the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelce and commented on his son, Shedeur, who's, of course, a quarterback on the Cleveland Browns.
Talk shows ran it like a breaking news Kyron, and suddenly a dad answering like any dad would was recast as football prophecy. Deion didn't demand, didn't shade, didn't posture. He spoke, and the sports world did what it always does with him. It panicked, overreacted, and set itself on fire, and here's the thing, he might not be wrong. Behind closed doors, the Browns are reportedly clawing for anything to rescue an offense that can't get out of its own way. So when Prime's hint dropped, it hit different. Fans didn't hear eventually, they heard soon. Every missed throw from Joe Flacco, every stalled drive with Dillon Gabriel, every fumbled exchange, every route collision started to sound like one drumbeat rolling over Lake Erie. It's almost time. Right now, the Browns look like a team that accidentally hit self-destruct and lost the instructions.
She's spitting a little. Guess who is now in the name or in the mouth pause of Mary Kay Cabot? It's Shedeur Sanders again. It's a Cleveland.com sports. Now, a lot of people I think might use an excuse of, well, Deion Sanders talked about it. Nah, Deion Sanders was asked by NFL players about another NFL player.
Offense feels like improv with everybody reading a different script. Routes cross like Friday traffic, protections fray, timing phrase. And by the time the play collapses, the booth is already searching for polite synonyms for disaster. The defense, they're performing weekly miracles, suffocating legitimacy. inch offenses, flipping fields with turnovers, dragging the roster toward a result, only to watch the offense hand it back like a bad punchline. You can see the fatigue in their faces walking off after another 3 and out. Shoulders slump, eyes ask, what more do you want us to do? Fans feel it too. This city has lived this loop so long they can spot the ending by the first TV timeout. They paint the stadium orange and brown, roar themselves hoarse through 3 quarters. And by the 4th, you catch those quiet glances toward the exits. The ritual of hope meeting habit. Rooting in Cleveland isn't just support, it's survival.
And now the media is jumping on it. I want to point a few things out. First thing I want to point out is obviously Shedeur doesn't get any playing time. He's doing this and that. The Browns know what they got though. The Browns are getting a click. So,
and Deion certainly thinks that there is going to be a world in which.
And then there's Joe Flacco, the veteran presence, the steady hand, the calm in a storm until the ball is snapped. Every drop back moves like it's happening in wet cement. Every scramble feels like a refrigerator attempting ballet. And too many throws either die halfway or sail into the next county. It's not hateful, it's just the tape. Leadership is great, but leadership without velocity is karaoke football. The melody looks familiar, but the music's gone. The coaching staff keeps preaching trust the process, but the score keeps preaching something else. Drives are wasted, rhythm evaporates, and another afternoon of elite defensive work dissolves into sighs. Cameras know the beat now. They're already on the sideline before the punt leaves the foot, framing the same shot.
Shedeur's mentality, folks, is he truly believes he can be a franchise quarterback. That's what he wants to be. That's what the experts said he would be leading up to the draft. If you watch one of his press conferences, he literally said, if you're not trying to change the franchise, then don't come get me. Cleveland should be excited to have a guy like that wants to do that for your franchise. I hope the Browns give him a chance later in the year because he's confident. He showed flashes in preseason and, of course, during his...
Shedeur Sanders, helmet in hand, eyes locked, patient, observing. Flacco isn't the problem because he's a villain. He's the problem because the franchise refuses to admit he's a bridge to nowhere. He's become a comfort blanket, soft, familiar, and not keeping anyone warm. The name that keeps rolling through cold Cleveland air is the one the broadcast can't stop cutting to, Shedeur Sanders. The kid they branded not ready, the 5th-round flyer with 1st-round nerve, the one supposedly drafted for tomorrow while today crumbles in 4K. Watch him on the sideline, no phony hype, no panic, no performative clapping, just that coiled calm you recognize from Colorado. A quarterback who learned to find rhythm inside a bar fight. He's lived under pressure since high school. Cameras, critics, comparisons, the whole circus. Through it all, he stayed cool, precise, and stubbornly certain of his lane. He told teams before the draft, reportedly, don't come for me unless you're trying to change your franchise. That's not arrogance, that's clarity. Cleveland didn't just draft a passer, they drafted a mentality. And that mentality is watching their illusion crack in real time. The media is not blind. Stephen A., Skip, panels all over Sunday shows. They've all started leaning in the same direction. Shedeur isn't just a project, he's a storyline with teeth. Every 3 and out, every miss, every check down that dies at the sticks turns into a live wire question. Is this the moment when the switch flips? It won't whisper, it'll boom. Because Shedeur doesn't just play, he performs. Precision with poise, swagger without noise. The same gravity that turned Colorado Saturdays into a traveling show is humming beneath Cleveland's bleachers. He's not waving his arms for attention, he's letting destiny dial. And when it rings, when that chin strap snaps, when the camera catches the eyes of 10 teammates straighten in the huddle, it won't feel like a mercy rep, it will feel like a beginning. Let's talk about Dillon Gabriel too, because the fan base deserves straight talk. In college, he looked surgical when clean, calm when kept on script. In the NFL, the stage is fast, the windows are brutal, and the pressure doesn't blink. He's been undersized, hurried, and out of sync. Too many snaps feel like survival drills where the pocket turns to smoke. The route picture blurs, and decision time shrinks from read and throw to duck and hope. That's not slander, it's what your eyes see on Sundays. Defenses don't respect the vertical, don't fear the whole shot, don't back off the blitz. The coaches keep saying he's learning, and maybe that's true, but the defense is earning while he learns, and you can't keep asking a locker room to carry contradictions. The Gabriel experiment bought a few weeks, it did not buy faith. The storm that's coming has a name, and the building can hear it in the concourse. Shedeur, Quick breather. If you're riding with this breakdown and want more Cleveland truth without the spin, lightly tap that like so other Browns fans find it. Back to the pressure cooker. So why now? Because momentum chose now. Because Deion's hint lined up with reality. Because a proud defense is about to fracture its patience. Because ownership reportedly wants answers, not alibis. And because the schedule just handed Cleveland a runway. You have a bye to reset, then a winnable opponent to unveil a plan. If the staff chooses to do this, they can slow roll the announcement to Friday, keep the Jets guessing, and give Shedeur 2 full weeks of first-team timing. That matters. You don't toss a poison placement quarterback into a failing call sheet and call it development. You build a script for what he is. That means real tempo, not frantic, but assertive. Mirrored concepts early to cut rid time and see coverage honesty. Flood and dagger to punish quarters. Sail off play action once the backers trigger. Sprint/half roll to shrink the picture and by vision lanes. 2 defined shots in the first 15 to scare the safety. Real hot answers. Slide the protection to the teeth of the rush and let him hit leverage, not throw into it. That's a plan. That's Tommy Rees's lane. And the training camp tape showed a rapport. Rees on footwork rhythm, timing on hash to boundary outs, quick eyes from high-low to backside. If Rees drives the sheet, this offense can stop pretending conservatism equals safety. Shedeur's profile is accuracy with audacity. Build around that or don't bother. None of this works if the locker room isn't with you, but listen carefully to what isn't said. Veterans don't need pressers to know who pops in practice. Corners know which throws stress their leverage. Safeties feel the ball arrive early before they can drive. Defensive linemen watch from behind the drill and nod because timing is a sound you can hear when a quarterback's right. Respect grows quietly, then all at once. That's been happening. And the crowd, you saw it. They aren't booing anymore. They're bargaining. Put Shedeur in. That doesn't come from memes. It comes from instincts. A city that's lived this loop can sense when denial needs to end. A word of caution, though, the hype can eat its own. If the Browns flip the switch and it sputters, the same voices screaming now will suggest never. That's Cleveland's reflex, but here's the distinction. This isn't a desperate stun. It's the only rational test left. Best case, he nails it. The building catches fire, and you sprint into December with a defense that finally has an accomplice. Worst case, he learns at full speed and the franchise finally knows what it has. Either way, it beats spending another Sunday worshiping the punt team. And if you want more unfiltered film first Browns talk, the second depth chart tea leaves drop. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the Friday trickle. Now zoom out. This is bigger than a debut. This is a referendum on how the Browns handle momentum. For years, the pattern was hype, stutter, scapegoat, reset. You can feel the organization teetering between repeating that cycle and finally growing out of it. If they cling to the comfort of later, one more time, the season drifts and the locker room tunes out the headset. If they choose now, they accept the bumps and chase the ceiling. One path protects egos, the other protects Sundays. The defense is voting with its body language. The fans are voting with their lungs. Deion, without intending to, put a clock on it. And Shedeur just keeps doing what quarterbacks are supposed to do when their name isn't called. Prepare like it is. Imagine the moment. The graphic hits. The sideline erupts. The kid jogs in. Not a mercy snap, a takeover. The energy flips, and suddenly the Browns aren't asking the defense to drag a piano uphill. They're playing duets. First drive, they give him a quick rhythm throw to the boundary to settle the hands, then a bang play action to the glance, then a movement throw with levels crossing his vision. You can hear the crowd trust return on 3rd and 6 when the ball leaves early and the receiver catches through contact beyond the sticks. That's how you start rewriting a story in a city that guards its heart. Will it fix everything? Number? Will there be misses? Sure, he's a rookie, not a miracle, but he won't flinch. That's the point. When rush peaks, he keeps his eyes. When chaos spikes, he finds the beat. And when he finally lands a layered shot, something that makes a safety turn his hips too late and the sideline explode, you'll see it in the defense's faces. Relief, belief. The sense that their labor might finally get paid on the same day. There's a harsher truth baked into all this too. Either Shedeur Sanders saves Cleveland from itself, or he exposes how deep the habit runs. There isn't much middle ground left. If he wins, he becomes the rookie who walked into noise and tuned it into music. If he struggles and the building panics, we learn the lesson no one wanted to say out loud. But this time, something in the air feels different. You can hear it in the way national voices who usually laugh at Cleveland have started hedging. You can see it in fans who've sworn off hope and still can't help themselves. That's not marketing, that's a heartbeat. So, what now? Allegedly, the Browns are evaluating all options over the bye. Reportedly, there's internal debate about timing, about optics, about control. Here's my read. The only thing to control is the script. Call the plan that fits the player you drafted. Let Rees cook. Give the kid the first team week he's earned. Then live with the truth. Because Cleveland doesn't need promises, it needs fire. And right now, every sign, every chant, every silent camera, cut to number 14 says the same thing. Light it. If you're feeling this, tap like so more Browns fans see it before the decision drops. Drop your predictions below. Jets debut or delayed. First 15 plays. More tempo or more movement. Who gets the first shot ball? And if you want the all-22 breakdown when he finally takes that snap, make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you don't miss the instant film room. The story isn't slowing down and the stakes aren't shrinking. When Shedeur Sanders tightens that chin strap and the stadium turns from dread to voltage, we'll be here grading every read, every window, and every decision the presser won't. Until then, keep the faith, Cleveland. You've survived enough to recognize the sound of a turn. Like, subscribe, and share this with the one friend who swore he was done with hope. Because if destiny really does love drama, it's about to stage a comeback in brown and orange. Cleveland didn't just stumble into another quarterback debate. They may have walked straight into a full-blown conspiracy, allegedly of their own making. One week, the city's buzzing because a rookie is turning routine drills into highlight tape. The next week, that same rookie disappears behind a vague label that reads like it was typed by a lawyer, not a trainer. Fans aren't dumb. They saw Shedeur Sanders torching camp reps, talking calmly on the mic, zipping throws that looked factory calibrated, and carrying himself like a starter who happens to wear a temporary backup label. Then, without a limp, without a rap, without even a frown on the practice field, he's suddenly managing something. Managing what? Managing attention, managing optics. Because the timing, reportedly the day after he embarrassed veterans with touch, timing, and command, looks less like precaution and more like panic. And panic is exactly what some Browns watchers think they're seeing. Not a medical event, but a narrative one, allegedly. Here's how the story feels to people inside and outside Cleveland who have whiplash from the spin. You draft a magnetic rookie, but into a crowded room, you fence him off from first-team timing under the guise of learning the system. When the buzz somehow survives the firewall, you label him tight, day-to-day, precautionary. Then, when the internet refuses to quiet down, you reintroduce him at QB3 or QB4 and say the word competition like it's holy water. Fans can smell that choreography from the cheap seats, and they're saying it's not stewardship, it's sabotage, allegedly wrapped in corporate language. Cleveland has done this dance before. The franchise has turned the quarterback position into an annual rites of spring ceremony. Promise, hesitation, retreat. And in a media environment where there are more cameras at camp than at some regular season games, a mystery injury that no one saw is like trying to hide a billboard with a napkin. When receipts exist, silence reads like strategy. What's peculiar is that the football case for a calm trial isn't crazy. This roster is built to win 20 to 16 games with a defense that can suffocate drives and an offense that just has to avoid gifting short fields. That kind of team needs a quarterback who sits tall versus blitz without panic outlets, who throws on time to second windows instead of first read bailouts, who creates clean explosives off play action rather than hero ball YOLOs. And the camp clips, the ones fans keep replaying frame by frame, suggest Shedeur fits that recipe. Disciplined base, patient eyes, layered accuracy, controlled aggression. Maybe it scales on day one, maybe it sputters for 2 quarters and then clicks. But it speaks directly to what Cleveland's offense keeps punting into the lake. Rhythm, timing, and a sense of inevitability when the ball leaves the hand. If you've watched him, you know why the building gets quieter when he spins it. If you've watched the current offense stall, you know why chants start earlier every week. Quick note, if you're into this breakdown style, tap subscribe so you don't miss the next game week cut up. It really helps the channel keep digging on this saga. What pushed this from grievance to gasoline was the public tone shift. Early messaging made Dillon Gabriel sound like the heir apparent, calm, system fit, playbook forward. Then the games happened. Safe calls, safe numbers, safer field position, and an offense that looked like it was trying to protect the lead it didn't have. Overnight, the organization that barely said Shedeur's name started sprinkling him into interviews, teasing practice throws, feeding hope in little drips. Analysts called it what it looked like: damage control. You don't pivot from be patient to maybe it's time unless you're feeling the walls press in, and the walls are pressing in from the concourse where fans are chanting his name before warm-ups are over, from the locker room where veterans reportedly admit the ball looks different when he drives a dig on time, from local radio where hosts are playing the same clip of a perfect glance route until the board out begs for mercy, from national shows where talking heads are saying if you're going to lose playing it safe, at least find out if the kid can change the math. The subplot that keeps resurfacing is ego, coaching pride, front office sunk cost, the old guard's reflex to keep the lid on a rising brand that markets itself. Shedeur isn't just a quarterback prospect, he's a camera magnet, a clip engine, a player whose poise sells without a press release. That doesn't play nice with a culture that wants to sequence every reveal. There's a fear, allegedly, that if he takes real reps with the ones and the light comes on, you can't put it back in the lamp. There's also a fear that if he gets those reps and stumbles, critics will say the staff rushed him. That's the tightrope. Start him and risk too soon, sit him and risk too scared. But this is the NFL. The only unforgivable sin is indecision. The longer you delay a clean answer, the more the locker room writes its own. Players aren't blind. They feel the tempo. They know when a check down is a choice and when it's a flinch. They know when a route is capped because the quarterback never holds the backside safety with his eyes. They also know when a rookie hits a 7-step, pitches once, and lets a 20-yard and cut rip like it's practice air. Quiet belief is still belief, and belief, once it tips, is irreversible. The league won't rescue Cleveland from this either. The NFL is incredible at cosmetic discipline, sock heights, towel tucks, end zone choreography, but it loves order more than truth. If a viral rookie vanishes under the fog of team discretion, Park Avenue isn't parachuting in to audit the trainer's spreadsheet. That means the only pressure valve that exists is performance pressure. Fans paying for hope, a defense tired of carrying field position, receivers running cardio for empty targets, and a coaching staff staring at 3rd and 8 while the stadium chants for a player they've kept in bubble wrap. If you're still here with me, toss a quick like so this gets in front of more Browns fans. We're going to be tracking every rep of the evaluation stretch once it starts. So what would a sane rollout look like if the Browns wanted truth over optics? Give him 2 full install weeks with the ones. Timing with starters can't be faked. Script a 15-play opener that lets him own the pace. Quicken breaker, RPO, give, take, flood to stress the flat defender, keeper to change the launch point, dagger to test intermediate anticipation, then 1 max protect shot only after a prior completion has softened the safeties. Define 3 green light checks that belong to him and only him. A pressure answer he can tag in any look, a boundary ISO he's empowered to take when leverage screams it, and a condensed set beater that punishes soft corners at the sticks. Protect with personnel honesty, TE help on edges until the rush respects the rhythm. Go empty only after you've earned it. Live by 3 rules: no late outs, win the down spacing battle, and punt if the picture lies. If he's not it, the tape says so. If he is, the city exhales and the room aligns around results instead of resumes. And a condensed set beater that punishes soft corners at the sticks. Protect with personnel honesty, TE help on edges until the rush respects the rhythm. Go empty only after you've earned it. Live by 3 rules: no late outs, win the down cloud. People want to know if the sore arm line was medical or managerial. The team says precaution. Reporters say we never saw it. Fans say we've seen this pattern. The likely truth sits in the messy middle. A real twinge plus a real incentive to tap the brakes until the room is ready to stomach the hard choice. But if that's the case, say it like grown-ups. We slowed him for 3 days because of tightness, and we also wanted to protect install integrity while we discussed our plan. That candor would disarm half the outrage. Instead, the vacuum got filled by speculation, and the speculation carried receipts, mic'd up clips, unbroken throwing sessions, zero visible treatment. When you leave people to connect dots, they draw the ugliest picture possible. And right now, That picture says the Browns are more afraid of being wrong than being late. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel is living inside the most unforgiving frame in sports. The starter everyone believes is keeping the seat warm for the crowd favorite. He's had one competent game, one bad one, and two where the offense felt like it was trying to win the time of possession trophy. A lot of that is play calling. Check down ecology can make anyone look like a spreadsheet W, but the eye test matters. It's not numbers, it's posture. Does the ball come out before a corner can drive through the catch point? Does he hold a post long enough to open the glance on the other side? Does he ever turn down an open intermediate dig in favor of a 5-yard flat when the game is begging for blood? If the answers keep trending the wrong way, the only honest response is to test the alternative. Not because Twitter said so, but because the locker room knows. And when the locker room knows, the clock is already ticking. There's a way this ends that doesn't break anyone. You announce an evaluation plan, you give the rookie a defined practice runway. You explain to the vets exactly what's being measured. You protect the current starter's dignity by speaking about process, not punishment. Then you let the games tell the truth. If Shedeur sputters, you recalibrate and ride the defense. If he stabilizes the offense and hits 2 explosives a half, you ride the wave and never look back. Either way, you stop lying to yourselves because the worst outcome isn't a rookie mistake. It's institutional denial. Fans can handle learning curves. What they won't forgive is being gaslit by a depth chart that doesn't match what their eyes and your practice tape already know. Cleveland has spent decades mistaking caution for wisdom. It's not. Wisdom is choosing clarity over control. The franchise finally has a quarterback who makes football look organized. Feet married to eyes, eyes married to timing, timing married to trust, and it keeps trying to manage the lighting instead of letting the camera roll. Maybe that's fear of being wrong about past investments. Maybe it's an allergy to unplanned stars. Maybe it's just habit. But habits can be broken in one drive. You call a keeper on play 2, he hits the crosser on the move for 18, the crowd inhales like it forgot how, and suddenly the building remembers why it loves this sport. That's what's at stake here, breath. If you felt that, consider subscribing. I'll keep tracking the leaks, the installs, and the first live series when it finally happens. Until then, expect more whispers, soreness, precaution, re-ramp, competition. Expect more leaks that say the ball came out hot in a red zone period against the ones. Expect more players to answer questions with shrugs that sound like, we see it too. And expect the decision to land the only place it ever could, in the middle of the field, under lights, with a defense that doesn't care about optics and a city that's ready to believe again. When that snap comes, Cleveland either keeps punting on potential or it lets a quarterback take the wheel and drive the story where it always should have been headed. Like, if you enjoyed the breakdown, drop a comment with your read on the precaution label, and most important, subscribe so you don't miss the first snap when this evaluation window opens. If the tape tells the truth, we'll call it. If the spin tries to replace it, we'll call that too. See you after the bye.
One Browns insiders made an startling update about Shedeur Sanders playing this upcoming Sunday. A lot of talks in Cleveland and in the media about Shedeur possibly playing this upcoming Sunday, pretty much letting it be known that Kevin Stefanski might be forced to put the young rookie in the game. Now, I'm getting word that if the Browns come out and stink up the place in this specific home game, they're going to get booed.
Cleveland just turned its quarterback chaos into must-see TV, and the walls at the facility are humming with it. Reports say Kevin Stefanski's locker room is hanging by a thread, the fan base is boiling over, and one name keeps echoing through the smoke. Insiders claim Stefanski is being pushed to start him this Sunday, and it doesn't feel like football anymore. It feels like mutiny and shoulder pads with the city as a fourth phase of the game. Before Cleveland turned him into a headline, Shedeur was already a walking storyline, talent, confidence, and legacy wrapped into one cool under-pressure package. At Colorado, he didn't just play, he staged comebacks, mastered chaos, and carried himself like a pro who knows the weight of a last name and still wants to build his own lane. Analysts called him NFL ready, teammates called him unshakable, and fans saw prime 2.0 energy without the copy-paste vibes, just poise that never blinked. Cleveland noticed because Cleveland always notices hope when it walks by in cleats. A franchise raised on heartbreak saw leadership and control in a black and gold jersey and imagined an identity, not just a player, something bold enough to break the sad carousel of safe choices. Then draft day flipped the script with politics louder than production, and teams got cautious while the cameras found Shedeur's patience instead of panic. He slid, Cleveland called, and it felt poetic. A city that hunted miracles found a quarterback who doesn't wait for them. If this was supposed to be a fairy tale, nobody mailed Cleveland the ending, because the next chapter was all pressure, cameras, and a quarterback room that felt like a ballroom fight under fluorescent lights. Rumors flew that Shedeur wasn't Stefanski's pick, that maybe ownership pushed it, and that playing him would tilt the building's power grid. So the rookie icon became a sideline ghost with a laser stare and a helmet in his hands. Fans didn't care about politics. They wanted spark, not safety, and they made it loud with chants, threads, and call-in shows that sounded like emergency meetings. Dillon Gabriel still took the first-team reps, the offense still sputtered, and patience snapped like a bad route in the rain. Now the Browns' quarterback room is the league's strangest soap opera. Part locker room, part pressure cooker, part reality show, with a new twist every week. Stefanski says there's no controversy, but his post-game calm looks more like denial than leadership, and the silence after each presser says plenty. Three men sit at the center of it in one city that can't take another letdown. Gabriel, steady but safe, with short throws and training wheels reads. Joe Flacco, the veteran ghost who floated through as a mentor and reminder of what used to work. And Shedeur, the rookie everyone is talking about even when they're told not to. Practices feel like silent battles. Gabriel runs the ones. Shedeur tracks every snap like a chess player hunting checkmate, and defensive leaders admit out loud that the air changes when number 14 spins it. Stefanski keeps trying to play chess with checkers, protecting the plan, while the room quietly splits between the future and the familiar. Here's the truth the building can feel. Once Shedeur gets the first real snap, there's no turning back, because the tape will speak and the locker room will follow the ball, not the press notes. Every stale drive from Gabriel is another crack in the dam and another reason for the crowd to chant what the roster already whispers. Talk shows, Reddit threads, and spaces all sing the same hook. Start the kid. Stefanski's "We just need to execute" sounds like a ringtone nobody wants to hear, and the city's patience is past due. This isn't a quarterback battle anymore. It's a civil war over identity, and no matter who wins, somebody's legacy is about to smoke. Then the leaks hit like sirens. Anonymous reports about veterans questioning calls, defensive leaders tired of doing heavy lifting, and assistants arguing behind closed doors.
Damn near out of
no use for Shedeur. It's going to take the owner stepping in and saying no to Stefanski, but I'm going to tell you what tears me up about this. They have the fourth easiest schedule remaining. They have what Pro Football Focus ranks the #1 defense in pro football. So it scares me because Stefanski is...
One insider even claimed ownership gave an ultimatum: give Shedeur a real shot or explain why not, and the timeline swallowed that rumor whole. Meanwhile, fans flipped from frustrated to furious. Hashtags like #StartShedeur and #FreeTheKid trended. Local shops sold "Play 14 or We Riot" tees, and sports radio became a courtroom where the verdict was already written. Even former Browns players chimed in with "The city deserves better," while timelines cooked every safe check down like it was a betrayal. Players hear it, see it, and scroll it, the chants, the comments, the clips, and you can feel some quietly agreeing while others just beg for peace that never lasts here. In Cleveland, hope and chaos always arrive together, and this time, they're wearing the same number. Want more straight shot breakdowns without the fluff? Tap subscribe now so you don't miss the moment the depth chart finally matches the film. Behind the noise, Shedeur keeps doing what he's always done, working like the job is already his, because that's the only way the job ever becomes yours. First in, last out, scout team snaps treated like playoff drives, meetings approached like exams, and film study handled with veteran discipline. He's preparing for inevitability.
He's going to fight for his life and his job and his draft pick, a third-round pick in Dillon. It tears my guts out to watch what's happening to Shedeur with a chance. This is on a silver platter for somebody to take the reins. So I'm not loving this for Shedeur unless Jimmy Haslam just steps in and says, okay, that's enough. We have
not wishing for miracles, and that's why the room keeps glancing his way. Stefanski, built on stability and control, is now balancing a hurricane with an umbrella. Start the rookie and risk being labeled a roll of the dice, or stick with safety and risk being called stubborn while the season bleeds out. If he starts Shedeur and it backfires, the seat burns. If he benches Shedeur and they lose again, the seat still burns. Pick your fire. fire, and through it all, number. 14 keeps the volume low. No complaints, no shots, no cryptic posts, just quiet prep that always turns into loud results when the whistle finally says, prove it. Sunday in Cleveland looms like a trial, not a game. The crowd wants answers, not platitudes, and one empty drive could turn the stadium into a chorus that shakes the cameras. We want Shedeur. The Browns are 1-5, the head coach is dangling by a thread, and insiders say ownership is out of patience. If Gabriel stumbles early,
throw tomatoes at them, bro. They ain't playing no games. Brown fans are tired of this little soap opera drama that is going on because it was all cool in the beginning, but as of right now, they're not winning any damn football games. And as of right now, Kevin Stefanski and the entire Browns organization is letting the people of Cleveland down by not playing the quarterback that they want to see in. And we ultimately know who that quarterback is. Come on, bro. They want to see Shedeur. They tired of this Dillon Gabriel experiment. They was tired of the Joe Flacco experiment.
The headset won't save anybody. This won't be about play sheets. It'll be about survival, belief, and the shot that flips a narrative in a single snap. If Shedeur steps in and lands even one deep strike that detonates the place, it'll feel like a resurrection the city thought it forgot how to feel. If he struggles, it still won't matter much. The spark will be lit, and you can't unsee potential after you finally see it. Cleveland has seen this movie. Hype, heartbreak, hope. But this version feels different because the story isn't just a quarterback hunt, it's a fight for identity. Shedeur is more than a name on a depth chart. He's the embodiment of every fan who yelled at a screen, every defender tired of carrying the weight, and every receiver who wants a chance to run something other than a 5-yard apology route. Insiders say this moment has been brewing for weeks. The coach's calm is cracking, ownership is pressing, and the locker room is quietly choosing sides. Some players already act like the room belongs to Shedeur because of the way veterans give him that little nod. Respect doesn't need a speech when the presence is real.
And I'm heard it.
Stefanski is really enjoying this moment. Kevin Stefanski is making the Browns organization basically Jerry Springer. He's making a mockery of the situation and enjoying it. Just announce the goddamn quarterback. Who's quarterback number 2? Why are we playing these goddamn mind?
If he plays well, the city will flip overnight, from risk to franchise, from gamble to identity, and the post-game spin will try to call it foresight even if everyone knows it was pressure that forced the hand. If he wobbles, the ask won't change. Cleveland won't go back to safe screens and emotionless podium lines after tasting energy, because the idea of him works even before the numbers do. The curse here never was bad luck, it was bad timing and fear. This time the timing's ugly, but the choice is clear. Pick the spark and live with the learning, or pick the stall and live with the fallout. The AFC North doesn't hand out grace. It hands out bruises and respect, and the only way to earn either is to swing big. Shedeur is ready physically, pro arm, fast eyes, calm feet, and mentally. He's sharper than half the veterans he watches tape on. Readiness isn't just skill, it's moment. And this moment is loud, raw, and very Cleveland. Perfect for a quarterback who thrives in storms. If you're rocking with this ride and want the next chapter the second it breaks, hit like and subscribe so the algorithm doesn't bench you when news hits the huddle. Look around, every drive that stalls and every third down check down adds weight to a decision that can't be dodged any longer. The fans aren't just watching, they're participating. Offense, defense, special teams, and Cleveland rage.
The quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, his fan base is waiting to see him play this year. And also, you got former NFL players and former Browns players, they ready to see Shedeur. They done seen enough of Cleveland quarterback situation.
And the only way to calm the room is clarity with conviction. Give both quarterbacks a real evaluation window with the ones, equal calls, equal situations, and let the tape decide while the team sees the process, not just the result. If Gabriel wins the room back with efficiency, say it clean and ride it. If Shedeur flips the field and the sideline, say it loud and build around it. Nothing heals a split like a plan everyone can point to and respect. But here's the gut punch. Cleveland isn't patient anymore, and maybe they shouldn't be, because identity beats caution when a season is bleeding clock. The city doesn't want calm, it wants fire. And right now that fire wears 14. Whether it turns into a miracle or a learning curve, one thing is certain. Once Shedeur takes the field, there's no going back to quiet football and safe platitudes, because belief is a bell you can't unring. He won't just be a substitution, he'll be a shift in how the franchise breathes, talks, and attacks, and that's the kind of jolt this story has been been begging for? Cleveland has waited long enough for a reason to feel alive again, and the rookie with the steady eyes and the loud silence might be the one who turns chaos into charge. The clock is loud, the stakes are real, and the next snap could change everything for a team, a coach, and a city that keeps daring hope to come back. This isn't just football anymore, it's Cleveland's biggest story in years, and Shedeur Sanders might be the spark that rewrites the ending at last. If you're here for the turn, stay locked, subscribe, and drop a like, because when that headset finally points to 14, you'll want to say you saw the shift the second it started.
The Cleveland Browns assistant GM is brutally honest about Shedeur Sanders' future and Dillon Gabriel being named QB2.
The Cleveland Browns thought they could control the story, but one sentence from Shedeur Sanders just blew the whole thing apart. An assistant GM opened his mouth, shaded the rookie, and the NFL hasn't stopped talking since. It was supposed to be a quiet media day in Cleveland. Harmless interviews, some praise for Dillon Gabriel, and polite corporate smiles, but a subtle jab slipped out, questioning whether Shedeur was really ready for the league, and the spark hit dry grass instantly. Within hours, every ticker and timeline asked the same thing. Did the Browns just disrespect Shedeur Sanders? Most rookies would have stayed quiet, smile for the cameras, let PR mop up, move on. But Shedeur isn't most rookies, and he doesn't do quiet. He looked straight at the noise and dropped a truth bomb. Calm, sharp, fearless, that made Cleveland's front office scramble like they'd seen a ghost. No scripted apology, no forced humility, just poise so steady it froze the building in place. The locker room shifted, the fans split, and the league asked a question it wasn't prepared for. Is the NFL ready for a quarterback who refuses to play by old rules? It began like any other press day, cameras flashing, mics lined up, a front office selling another we're building story, but the message inside those polished quotes was off. They kept hyping Gabriel. He's earned QB2. He's ahead in the playbook. He's more consistent. And anyone who knows league politics heard the subtext loud and clear, Shedeur's not our guy. Then an assistant GM got too comfy and let the mask drop, hinting Shedeur might not be NFL ready. His confidence from the family name, not the game. One line on the record, and boom, the fuse lit. By sunrise, headlines were locked. Browns insider questions, Shedeur's readiness. The building panicked, PR tried to contain it, players whispered, reporters circled, and social went nuclear with clips, edits, and fan wars that didn't sleep. Some called it honest scouting, but most saw it for what it was, a slick shot at the Sanders name. And for Shedeur, this wasn't some random comment. It was personal. He's heard the labels for years. Too confident, too flashy, product of his dad.
Day was pretty much media day for the Cleveland Browns front office, man. A couple of guys came out and spoke to the media, and they was speaking very highly about Dillon Gabriel. They let it be known he is definitely QB2. He's better than Shley. I feel like it's a slap in the face to the Cleveland Brown fans and to the Sanders family.
And each time they tried to box him in, he got sharper. So when Cleveland's assistant went public, Shedeur didn't hear criticism. He heard challenge and decided to answer like a pro, not a puppet. He stepped to the mic, no script, no handler, and spoke from the chest. I feel like I've put in the work. I feel like I belong here. I know my worth. I know what I bring. The words were simple. The tone was ice cold, and the building went silent. That calm wasn't arrogance, it was clarity, and it flipped the conversation on contact. Instead of rattling him, the jab exposed the system. Why does confidence bother people only when it comes from someone who won't bow to the mold? Shedeur didn't beg for validation.
Because for the simple fact, Shedeur was not given the same opportunity as Dillon Gabriel. It was displayed in front of the world when y'all put out the third string line for him and let Dillon Gabriel run with the twos. I don't give a damn how you spin it, what you say. He should have been given the same opportunity. If this was a true competition, and Shedeur truly had to earn
for
everything
validation, and he didn't chase approval. He set the standard and made the league react to him. Real ones felt it. If you want straight up breakdowns with zero fluff, hit subscribe now so you're locked in when this saga swings again. Before the Cleveland chaos, you have to understand why his name shakes rooms. Most players earn headlines with what they do on the field. Shedeur makes noise just by walking in. Magnetic presence, AI clean mechanics, calm under pressure like he's built from 2-minute drills. The control is the flash, no theatrics needed, just a laser show with timing to match. Off the field, he's already a brand, deals, style, followers before a single NFL snap, and he actually understands understands the business behind the game. In a league where image equals leverage, he holds cards veteran stars beg for and still doesn't waste words. The last name matters.
Obviously, I think overall as a player, I feel like I put in the work. I feel like everything I do, I try to do it to my best, and that's all I ask for. So I feel like everybody feels like, they should be on the team, and if you ask anybody on the team, would they feel like they belong, in their own eyes. So I feel like I do, but I'm my own player, I think about myself in a high regard, of course. So it's not my...
The last name matters, sure, but he isn't copying Prime. He's evolving the blueprint, authentic and dominant instead of loud and performative. So when a Browns exec questioned whether he's ready, it wasn't just disrespect, it was delusional. He's been prepping for this stage his whole life, and he's not trying to fit the NFL's old system. He's bending it. If there's a franchise that knows how to ruin a good thing, it's Cleveland, and that's not slander, that's history. Tim Couch, Brady Quinn, Johnny Manziel, saviors arrived, then vanished. The real...
And I'm going to tell you why. I think he's being set up to win. That's right, I'm going to say it. Okay. Here we are on national television, right? There's been 11 practices, if I remember correctly. He's been he's been playing against the third unit. He's fourth on the depth chart.
The real issue isn't bad luck, it's culture. A setup that punishes leadership if it isn't quiet and smooth, then asks why the spark keeps dying. Shedeur is the opposite of quiet, and that's why this clash hit like thunder. So when that assistant took his swipe, folks felt deja vu. Another talented quarterback walks in with swagger, and Cleveland flinches. Only this time they picked the wrong dude to underestimate. He doesn't crumble under dysfunction. He cooks in it. The moment the quote hit the web, everything exploded. Sports shows looped the take. Analysts argued for hours, and hashtag respect Shedeur started trending before the building realized the blaze had jumped floors. Fans split. Half cried disrespect, half said earn it. But everyone agreed on one hard rule. You don't poke a Sanders and walk away clean. And here's the twist. Shedeur didn't pour gas on the fire, he controlled it.
And then suddenly you throw him into the start lineup, and he hasn't had any reps with the first team at all. Think about that. So you're just gonna throw him to the wolves like that, huh? I mean, if he had first team snaps in practice.
Sounds like every reply, kept it measured, and managed perception like a vet. Because controversy doesn't destroy stars, it creates them when the star stays composed. Then the debate shifted off stats and onto character, confident or cocky. And the double standard got loud. A quiet quarterback speaks up in its leadership. Shedeur speaks up in its distraction. They say they want authenticity. What they really want is obedience. Smile, nod, say, I'm just focused on the team, and don't challenge the hierarchy. But Shedeur isn't interested in playing the puppet show. He knows his worth, and that scares people who depend on control. His confidence isn't empty, it's earned, built from film nights, pocket hits, and lights he didn't ask for, but handled like he was born under them. Fake arrogance fades, real confidence lasts, and this is the real thing. Zoom out, Shedeur isn't just an athlete, he's an enterprise. Every move feels intentional, quotes, fits, posts, strategy, not noise. Most rookies chase endorsements. He attracts them because his voice moves markets. Not just chains. In the modern NFL, your image is currency, and his value spikes every time he speaks with precision. Then came the setup, the classic limited reps with the 2s and 3s, tossed into choppy drills, then told to prove it. Analysts clocked it immediately. You don't test top shelf talent like that, you bury it. Still, he didn't complain, didn't post smoke, didn't pout. He showed up, ate the hard snaps, and kept the tempo even when the deck was stacked. That made it worse for Cleveland because even in a tilted script, he stayed calm, professional, and dangerous. The message was clear. You can try to box him, but you won't box him in.
Sounds like the Cleveland Browns are going to all but imprison Shedeur Sanders in the football sense of a very talented rookie quarterback who obviously needs reps, needs an opportunity, and who now, barring some miraculous luck, will not get the opportunity to play in a single real game.
He turns every jab into jet fuel. He doesn't run from criticism. He studies it. He rewinds, corrects, and returns sharper, which is why his confidence reads as work ethic, not ego. Behind that engine is a father who taught him to send pressure back to sender. Prime didn't raise a complainer. He raised a mirror. Cleveland tried to test him. They ended up building him, you don't break a storm that can become one, and Shedeur can flip the weather on cue. Meanwhile, the Browns machine did what it always does, tried to manage the moment, and accidentally created a movement. The more they talked around him, the more the league talked about him. The more they hyped Gabriel on safe terms, the more the city asked why number. 14 wasn't getting real looks with real weapons. The more they tried to control the message, the more it slipped through their fingers like confetti.
Has seen more heartbreak than pain when giving up seemed easier. When he finally dragged himself home, Martha was waiting, hushed tones about Billy's struggles, about the pressure of being Willie Nelson's son, about signs they should have seen. But Willie sat through it all in stunned silence, replaying every conversation, every missed opportunity to say the right thing. Bobby Nelson, Willie's beloved sister and musical partner, watched her brother crumble in ways she'd never seen. They'd been through everything together, shared stages and heartbreak, for masculine stereotypes of country music.
And the tick is getting loud.
Game. I'm sure many around the NFL are celebrating as we speak. They are chuckling about this. Many in the NFL wanted to teach Shedeur and his daddy.
The old curse here was never just bad luck. It was bad timing and fear. Pick safety, sell hope, repeat the loop. Shedeur breaks that pattern because he forces timing to meet talent, not the other way around. The solution isn't tricky. Put both quarterbacks in the same script with the ones, same calls, same situations, and let the tape decide while the locker room watches a process it can trust. If Gabriel wins it clean, say it clean and ride it. If Shedeur flips the field in the sideline, say it loud and build around it. Clarity heals, confusion kills. And if you're rocking with honest breakdowns and instant updates when this depth chart finally budges, tap like and subscribe so the algorithm doesn't bench you for the next chapter. Here's the truth you can't unhear. The Browns tried to test Shedeur Sanders and ended up handing him a platform. They thought the jab would shrink him. It scaled him. They thought the setup would stall him. It sharpened him. He isn't just ready for the NFL. He's redefining what ready looks like when a quarterback is honest, outspoken, and still a leader the room respects. The question isn't if Shedeur Sanders is ready for Sundays. The question is whether the NFL, and Cleveland in particular, is ready for this kind of quarterback. One who won't fold for PR, won't flinch for politics, and won't play small to fit anyone's comfort zone. Because if this week proved anything, it's simple and scary for the status quo. Shedeur doesn't follow eras. He starts them.
No doubt about it, there is something strange going on in Cleveland. I think we have an inside war that we really don't know what war is going on. Is it Andrew Berry versus Kevin Stefanski? Is it Shedeur Sanders versus Kevin Stefanski? There's a lot that's definitely...
Cleveland can't go a week without a plot twist, and this one might be the biggest yet. According to Mary Kay's report, Shedeur Sanders could finally be on his way back, and allegedly the play calling might be pried
need to agree with it, or I don't even need to be comfortable in it. I think quite the contrary.
Some people go their entire lives without facing the kind of
Does that sound like Stefanski suddenly seeing the light? Not really. It smells like ownership in the front office stepping in after weeks of booze, empty drives, and a fan base that's been done begging. Call it damage control, call it survival. But if it happens, it's the first real sign this franchise might stop protecting egos and start protecting wins. Shedeur's return has felt inevitable for months. Everyone saw it coming except the people paid to see it first. The offense stalled out, the chemistry flatlined, and the crowd checked out. Meanwhile, the rookie reportedly kept working in silence, training on his own time, staying ready while a vague stiffness story did laps on the timeline. When his family pushed back and said he wasn't injured, Stefanski shrugged like it wasn't his focus. Not his focus? Then what is? Another week of checkdowns and 3 and outs? That's not leadership, that's denial dressed as discipline. If you're rocking with this and want more breakdowns, the second they drop, tap subscribe and stick around. This saga changes by the hour. What makes this leak explosive isn't just Shedeur, it's the Rees angle. If Tommy Rees really gets the sheet, that's a philosophical reboot. Stefanski's play calling has looked like he's calling the game through oven mitts, risk-averse, rhythmless, and allergic to momentum. Rees, for all the debates about his resume, builds quarterbacks a runway. Tempo, defined reads, confidence throws that stack first downs and then pop shots when safeties start cheating.
Something going on here that is weird, strange, and dysfunctional. Because the answers to the questions and the logic from the moment they drafted him to right now incongruencies and inconsistencies.
Pair that with Shedeur's profile. Calm feet, quick eyes, precise timing, controlled aggression, and suddenly an offense that's been tiptoeing looks capable of walking fast and talking louder. Reportedly, some inside the building are already buzzing that an evaluation stretch could be coming after the bye. Translation, Gabriel's leash might be down to drives, not weeks. None of this erases how we got here. The mystery injury fog, the learning the system stall, the public defense of a plan that wasn't working, fans felt gaslit, and the locker room reportedly felt it too. The apology train shouldn't stop with the crowd. Shedeur deserves one as well. The kid's been used as a headline and then treated like fine print. If this flip is real, say the quiet part out loud. The plan failed, the schedule changed, and the best guy to spark the room wasn't the one on the field. Then hand the ball to the player who kept his head down while everyone else lost theirs. Now, if Rees does take over, here's what changes immediately in football terms, not press conference poetry. Expect early rhythm throws to stress leverage, quick game from condensed sets, boundary choice routes that give Shedeur answers versus pressure, and keepers that punish over-aggressive ends. Expect 3 or 4 green light checks he owns, pressure answer, boundary ISO, condensed set beater, plus 1 shot if they spin late. Expect protection honesty. Keep the tight end in until the rhythm is established, then expand. That's not flashy. That's functional. And functional is all Cleveland needs right now. If you want this kind of X and O translation every week, lightly tap that like button. It helps more than you think. It keeps these deep dives coming. Of course, none of this matters if pride wins again. If this is just another PR feint, float Shedur's name, float Rees' name, then roll out the same script Sunday, the blowback will be nuclear. Fans aren't just angry, they're exhausted. You can hear it in the stadium when a 3rd and 6 dive 2 yards short of the stick.
Why did they take him in the 5th round? Why was he still there in the 5th round? Did he really want to come here? Would he rather have gone somewhere else? Who drafted him? Who really wanted him? Why didn't he get any reps and opportunities in training camp when he's the more talented guy in Dillon Gabriel?
You can feel it on the sideline when a defense that's played winning football points to the scoreboard like we did our job. You can see it in post-game clips where veterans stare through cameras because the words feel empty. The next snap either changes that or it hardens into something you don't fix in a week. And let's be fair, Dillon Gabriel has fought, taken hits, and owned the mic like a pro. But results are results. 4 games in, the tape keeps saying the same thing. Late to windows, conservative by necessity, and a scheme trying to bubble wrap him into manageable stat lines while the scoreboard stays stuck. That's not a referendum on his future. It's a reality check on the present. If Rees is in, he's not inheriting a mystery.
Here we go. Good. Don't start us off. If you're here, you're here. Okay. And coming up high. Good? Here we go. Eyes down the field. Set. Good. We're reading those seams. I didn't think I was in harm's way. Standing over here. Hey, we're going to do a lot of work when we climb up.
Need to agree with it, or I don't even need to be comfortable.
Now that are going to be tackling you, it's a different world. You feel me? It's a different world. You see Myles Garrett walking around the shirt off? We got to have that ready to roll. You know I'm mic'd up. I hope that makes it. Ball's on the right hash. Quick hand. Push our timing on this. Ball's out. Good spot. Good spot. Switch sides. Good timing. Hey, that's the timing we're after. That's the timing we're after. Good rhythm,
was
baby.
unresponsive on the bathroom floor.
I love that. Hey, switch sides. So right away, we're not just going here. Our eyes are still here, and now we're reading that, and now we're coming back. Perfect.
No more Instagram
That's exactly what I'm
posts
talking
showing
about.
the picture-perfect
He's inheriting
family
a mandate.
they hadn't
Raise the
seen in
ceiling
years.
now. That
He
likely
started
means
traveling
Shedeur
more,
because
enjoying
his skill
life's
set
luxuries,
reportedly
making
is the
up
only one in the room that tilts the field without perfect conditions. Pressure, it's suffocating. After the rumors, the benching, the whispers, this wouldn't be a return, it'd be a reckoning. But Shedeur's brand has always been composed urgency. He's built for noise. The job is simple in the loudest possible way. Start fast, protect the ball, punish late rotations, and make the easy look easy so the hard becomes available. One crisp opener, one clean 2-minute drill, one layer dig over a buzzing hook defender. And the building will feel different. The sideline will feel different. Cleveland will feel different. Tommy Rees plus Shedeur isn't a fairy tale, it's a test. If it's real, Cleveland finally chose results over optics.
To my understanding, he regretted that because he for
okay.
a moment lost sight of the fact that any utterance of Shedeur becomes a big story.
Yeah.
He lost sight of that in answering that question. He didn't think it was a big deal saying, well, no, he's not getting for, you know,
It was
he didn't
a massive
think it was
deal.
big deal. Yeah. So, and I heard that given a second chance, he would have answered that question differently.
Okay.
So I think he's still coming to grips with the sensitivity over the Shedeur Sanders issue.
If it's smoke, the city will treat it like smoke, gone with the first breeze and forgotten only after the booze. But imagine the other timeline. First drive after the bye, motion to empty, safety spins, Shedeur hits the glance off the RPO, then tempo to the line, boundary choice to move the chains, keeper to flip the hash, dagger to punish the flat-footed nickel, touchdown. The place wouldn't cheer, it would exhale, months of tension gone in a single series.
But from everybody else. You know, again, they did not think they were going to find their franchise quarterback in this draft, but they wanted to draft at least one, and the first choice was Dillon, and they think Kevin had a large role in that. And he might not have had the same role in the selection of Shedeur. And just go back, I mean, he's the one who controls who gets first team snaps, second team snaps, third. Yeah, you know, here we are in the approaching the month of November.
So here's the ask of the people in charge. Stop trying to win the press conference and start trying to win the game. If the report's true, hand Rees the sheet, hand Shedeur the huddle, and hand the fan base the truth. If it backfires, the tape will say so. If it works, nobody will care how late you were to the right decision. Either way, the city gets honesty and the locker room gets clarity. That's how you rebuild trust in a week. We'll know soon. Insiders say meetings are loud, ownership is restless, and players can feel the ground shifting. If the next depth chart reads the way this town hopes, the Browns stop being the punchline and start being the problem again. If not, the fallout won't be subtle.
And Shedeur Sanders still has not received snaps with the first team offense. That is the direct dominion. The realization might have hit him this week. Because it certainly hit me that Gabriel's not going to be able to take him to the finish line.
Yeah.
You know, I think Kevin felt that once Gabriel got in there, I can win with him, you know, and over time develop him to keep him in there. But I think the New England game was a terrible setback for Gabriel. And I think the realization during this bye week is, we're not going to be able to get to the finish line with Dillon.
Either way, I'll be here breaking every rep, every call, every tell. Gently hit like if you want the film breakdown the moment he takes the field, and subscribe so you don't miss the drive-by-drive analysis when this story flips from rumor to reality. Because if Shedeur Sanders really trots out with Tommy Rees on the headset and the first ball leaves his hand on time with pace and into a window this offense hasn't even looked at in weeks, the sound you hear won't be hype. It'll be relief. Cleveland's been waiting for a reason to believe. Give them one. And if you're ready for that chapter, make sure you're locked in. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. When the call sheet changes hands, the whole season might too. Browns fans, take a breath. Sunday night in Pittsburgh wasn't just a loss. It felt like a nationally televised funeral for a season that once had real promise. Cleveland didn't just get beat. They humiliated themselves and confirmed every ugly fear about deep-rooted dysfunction on the biggest stage. At the center of the collapse sits one name, Dillon Gabriel, and this goes way deeper than one bad day. We're peeling back a full organizational failure the pressers won't touch with staggering incompetence, brewing locker room heat, a fan base in open revolt, and a head coach whose stubborn pride might sink a championship-caliber roster. Now the crime scene, the numbers sting. Gabriel launched 50 balls. Yes, 50. Desperate heaves trying to rescue the unsalvageable, and the result was barely 220 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 explosive plays, 0 leadership moments, nothing resembling NFL quarterbacking. Sure, the completion rate may fool box score surfers, but anyone who watched saw the truth. Empty checkdowns and panic throws that bled the offense dry, snap after snap. These weren't real completions. It was a parade of checkdowns and dump-offs, 3 yards on 3rd and 8, death by 1,000 timid throws. This wasn't quarterbacking. It was the slow dismantling of an offense, one surrendered snap at a time. And the worst part? Pittsburgh didn't even get fancy. They sat in simple two-high shells and dared Gabriel to hit the 10 to 15-yard windows, the lifeblood of any NFL attack. He couldn't or wouldn't and kept taking the safe underneath stuff, killing drives before they started. By the fourth, it turned comical. Cameras caught DBS smiling, pointing, openly mocking Cleveland's offense on live TV. Fans went from stunned to furious, and X became ground zero as ruthless memes and clips flooded timelines within minutes. X went ruthless fast. A viral edit slapped Gabriel onto a practice squad roster with finally found his appropriate level, and another side-by-side made even Brandon Weeden look better by comparison. Posts racked up thousands of likes per minute. One tweet pulled 47,000 plus overnight, while others called Gabriel the anchor, dragging the franchise down. Memes mocked endless checkdowns, and fan-made cut-ups of wide-open misses downfield went viral within hours. This wasn't normal post-loss venting. It felt like a city-wide rejection of one player loud and unified. And just when it seemed maxed out, national voices piled on, turning a local meltdown into a full-blown media flogging. Colin Cowherd led off Monday, saying the Browns' real franchise quarterback is on the bench, while Kevin Stefanski tanks the season with stubborn loyalty to an overmatched starter. And the take caught fire fast. Stephen A. Smith followed, calling it coaching malpractice, asking if this is pride or politics while the season circles the drain. Skip Bayless, rarely aligned with Stephen A., praised Shedeur Sanders for NFL arm talent, leadership, and competitive fire, while noting Dillon Gabriel looks overwhelmed against real defenses. Start your best quarterback became the drumbeat across shows and timelines. Former players piled on too. Robert Griffin III blasted the 50-plus attempts for approximately 220 yards and 0 touchdowns versus a division rival as proof the offense is broken, calling the performance JV level. And a former Browns quarterback reportedly texted a local reporter that everyone inside knows Shedeur should be playing, which only amped the pressure on Stefanski. Insiders say everyone knows Shedeur should be playing, but the coach won't admit the mistake as the season slips away fast. This isn't one bad night. It's a pattern. Defenses figured Dillon Gabriel out weeks ago with slow processing, marginal arm, shaky pocket presence, and questionable decisions under pressure. Yet he keeps starting like the outcome will magically change. Now it's an internal crisis. The locker room is fed up. Linemen create clean pockets while Gabriel dumps it short. Receivers win routes downfield and get ignored. And a veteran reportedly asked, why run deep if he won't throw past 15 yards? The defense is furious after watching their work wasted drive after drive. Cleveland's defense played championship-level ball, held Pittsburgh under 20, forced turnovers, and handed the offense short fields, yet Dillon Gabriel squandered every chance. Their game-winning work keeps dying because the offense can't capitalize and patience is gone. Post-game, tension reportedly boiled over. A defensive captain confronted Gabriel, words flew, and teammates jumped in to separate them. Stefanski downplayed it publicly, but insiders say the locker room is at a critical, near-explosive point. The most maddening part, Shedeur Sanders is right there on the sideline, watching the collapse, knowing he can change the tempo, and teammates see it every day in practice. Teammates see the arm, the calm, the leadership, and many believe Shedeur Sanders is the Browns' best, maybe only, path to winning. Yet he stays benched, and no one can explain why. Politics, pride, draft status. Rumors say veterans have privately urged Kevin Stefanski to make the switch. The offensive coordinator reportedly agrees, and position coaches admit Gabriel's limitations are now an obstacle to success. But Stefanski stays firm, backing Gabriel despite mounting evidence. And the real issue is shifting to the coach's credibility, stubbornness, and refusal to use the obvious solution sitting on his own bench. These choices aren't just costing games, they're shredding Kevin Stefanski's reputation across the league, with coaches questioning his judgment and execs wondering if he's lost the room. His post-game moment became a meme when, asked about starting Shedeur Sanders, he said with a straight face, "Dillon gives us the best chance to win." X exploded, and that line turned into the rallying cry for a furious fan base demanding change. Zoom out, and it's even uglier. The Browns have a championship-caliber roster almost everywhere except quarterback. Elite defense, real weapons, solid O-line, steady special teams. Dillon Gabriel's limits are handcuffing the whole operation while the potential solution sits idle on the bench, and rival fans are loving it. Thanks for the easy win, Steelers Nation taunted, begging Cleveland to keep starting Gabriel. This wasn't just another loss. It felt season-defining, the kind that can knock a team out of contention by Thanksgiving. Overnight, the national narrative flipped from dark horse contender to case study in dysfunction, coaching stubbornness, and wasted talent. Another promising year drifting toward the rocks because the one position that matters most is dragging everything down. Here's the hard truth the organization has to face. This is sunk cost football. Cleveland invested draft capital, handed out the starting job, and doubled down in public. And now they're riding the commitment instead of the results, while a better option waits for a real shot. Cleveland's riding a bad investment and won't admit it. They keep throwing good snaps after bad, while a better option sits ready on the sideline. That stubbornness wrecking a winnable season for no good reason. By Monday, X was ruthless. #StartShatter and #Gabriel gotta go trended as fans dropped mock trades and missing Browns offense posters with Gabriel's face. Creativity was wild, anger was real, and the message was crystal clear. Change the quarterback now. Digital protests erupted. Profiles flipped to shatter. Mass tweet storms hit team accounts, and podcasts ran emergency episodes demanding his promotion. This isn't a fringe outcry. It's the majority of the fan base united behind one demand: play Shedeur Sanders now. The organization faces a simple fork in the road: keep backing a struggling starter and risk losing the locker room, or admit the mistake and give Shedeur the shot he's earned to rescue a season hanging by a thread. The clock's ticking, rivals are gaining, and the playoff window is closing fast. Call it what it is: coaching malpractice and organizational failure, a total disconnect from reality. The Pittsburgh loss made it obvious. The Browns lack a quarterback who can win big games, the staff won't make the move, and the season is spiraling while the fix sits in plain sight. So how long until Cleveland acknowledges what everyone already sees? This was supposed to be a resurgence. Instead, it's another quarterback disaster and another wasted year unless the one obvious decision finally gets made. Drop your take below, hit like, and subscribe for the unfiltered breakdowns. This saga isn't over.
Thing of it is, you got to think about it. We sitting here talking about it, right? He's a backup quarterback. He's sitting there, he's learning, he's doing whatever the case may be. He's sitting there, he ain't saying nothing, he's learning. The narrative that we got to go week by week to say he's either ready or not ready is crazy. It's like, yo, at the end of the day, he's the backup quarterback supporting Dillon Gabriel, learning the game plan, and doing it at a high.
An NFL insider just accused the Cleveland Browns of lying, not to the media, not to the players, but to their own fans. And what makes it worse? The receipts might prove he's right. For months, Cleveland has pushed a polished story about its quarterback room. Dillon Gabriel is the future fit for Kevin Stefanski's system. Shedeur Sanders is learning in the background. But that story is cracking in real time. Behind headlines, leaks, and scripted pressers, a different truth is bleeding through, one that suggests the Browns are intentionally hiding their most talented quarterback to protect the people in charge. And the wildest part, every attempt to bury the story only makes it louder. If you want the no-spin version as this explodes week to week, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next twist.
Increasingly, the narrative is, it's starting to get out more, that the Browns believe that he is not ready. That is
Joe Flacco said it this week.
Flacco said it. There's other players that have skirted around the issue, and there are I don't want to say leaks, but you hear things from inside teams all the time. And to me, and Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, it increasingly has become the narrative that he is not ready. Am I overstating that?
No, I mean, I've been saying it.
It started small, a tonal shift, a few suspicious headlines, the kind of quiet PR pivot that only happens when a team feels the heat. A week ago, Cleveland was proudly promoting Gabriel as the calm, system-perfect heir. Coaches couldn't stop praising his command, and the press was spoon-fed that he was QB2, but really the future. Then came the games, shaky decisions, stalled drives, visible sideline frustration. Overnight, the silence around Shedeur flipped to calculated name drops. Suddenly, the same voices that dismissed him were saying things like, "We love his growth and his time will come." It felt less like football evaluation and more like market correction. When a plan collapses, you change the conversation, and the Browns are world-class at that. Fans noticed immediately. So did analysts, who spliced side-by-side receipts. The months they ignored or undercut Shedeur versus the sudden, "we've always believed" chorus.
With Shedeur has really, really heightened people's emotions one way or another from the beginning of the draft process to now, that it's just easily to trigger. And I think that, with the hat backwards and things like that, I ain't gonna say his name, but when I seen that, I kind of put it out there. Like when I seen him in person, I'll let him know he tripping. And shout out to my employers for allowing me to sit there with my hat backwards when I'm on the radio, when I'm right here on UCSS or wherever I'm at. I just think people are finding whatever it is to poke at if you got an issue.
It didn't look organic. It looked orchestrated. Cleveland wasn't promoting him out of trust. They were using him as a decoy, a shiny storyline to keep fans engaged while the on-field product sagged. 1 week, patience and development. The next, slow-mo practice clips of Shedeur dropping lasers with crisp footwork and stillness in the chaos. Hope edits, even if the scoreboard told a harsher truth. It read less like belief and more like strategy. Sell the dream to cover the drought. But manipulations have an expiration date. Once fans believe the hype again, they want action. They wanted Shedeur reps with the ones, they wanted a plan with teeth. When the Browns didn't deliver.
As a veteran, what's impressed you the most on how he's approached the game?
All the time he takes, showing up early. Coach's office is easily seen when you walk in the building, and almost every morning you see him in there, talking through plays, talking through schemes with coach, and making sure that he's ready for his moment when he gets called out. And I appreciate that level of maturity and attention to detail.
That's the only person that matters that I want to hear from on
the illusion cracked. The team wasn't just losing control of its season, it was losing control of its story. And then a Cleveland voice with a spine blew the door off its hinges. Garrett Bush snapped. If you follow Cleveland sports media, you know Bush. Outspoken, fearless, allergic to PR fog. He torched the organization on air, accusing the Browns of running a fan fiction factory, spinning fake storylines about Shedeur like they're pitching a series to Netflix instead of running an NFL team. He said the quiet part out loud, Cleveland isn't just losing games, it's losing credibility. Every trust the process soundbite, every strategically leaked nugget about Shedeur's development, every camera cut to him on the sideline, it's all smoke and mirrors. In Bush's words, the Browns are using Shedeur, not developing him. They flash him when the temperature rises, let fans dream for 5 seconds, then go right back to the same inert offense. The metaphor hit like a hammer. This isn't football, it's misdirection. Wave one hand with promise while the other fumbles reality.
But it doubled down on what he said, the clip I just showed y'all. So now, this what the Browns doing. They actually done start doing it. I told y'all that it was gonna be the bye week. I told y'all they're gonna start putting out little stuff, and then the bye week come after next week. Well, after this week, after this Sunday, the Browns.
Cleveland's fan base erupted. Clips of Bush's segments spread across X and TikTok with hashtag Bench the Lies and hashtag Play Shedeur locally trending. He closed with a line that still rings. The Browns don't have a quarterback controversy. They have a truth problem. And that's the question ownership doesn't want asked. If he's being hidden, what are they really afraid of? Cue damage control. Within days, the same line echoed across interviews. Shedeur isn't ready yet. The safest phrase in football, sounds responsible, says nothing. He's learning the system. He needs time. The excuse works because it can last forever. If you never give real reps, you can always say, not yet. But whispers leaked from the building. In practice, he was firing absolute lasers, diagnosing coverages, commanding tempo, outshining depth chart names who keep getting Sundays. The not ready shield started to look like exactly that,
slowly,
a shield.
Finding
then Mary
ways
Kay
to honor
Cabot, a
Jet's
veteran who
memory
has seen
while
every
moving
era
forward.
of Brown's
John
chaos,
created the
detonated
Jet
the spin.
Travolta
She
Foundation
went on air
help.
and said what insiders were hinting at. Shedeur is playing like a star in practice.
Football team, head coach, and his coaching staff, they want the credit of the development of Shedeur Sanders. When you hear Mary Kay and Tony Grossi, them come out and saying positive stuff about Shedeur Sanders so far now, you already know people on the inside of the building are giving them information to say.
Pinpoint throws into tight windows, composure beyond his years, mechanics that are smooth and repeatable. She described him elevating practice squad receivers, not riding with the ones, and still carving. The implication was unmistakable. He's not benched because he lacks skill. He's benched because his talent is impossible to unsee once you admit it. Cabot's reporting shattered the not ready narrative and exposed what the front office didn't want on record. Playing him rewrites the entire internal power map. This is where the story leaves football and enters power. Shedeur isn't acting like a rookie hoping for a cameo. He moves like a franchise quarterback. Calm, confident, magnetic. Veterans lean in, fans attach. The room listens. That presence threatens a culture built on control. Control the message, the spotlight, even how players are perceived. Shedeur doesn't need PR spin to be relevant. He's already a brand. And for an organization addicted to managing narratives, a player who is bigger than the script is terrifying. So the behavior started to look less like development and more like containment. Keep him quiet, keep him off the field, keep him from getting so big, so fast that you can't stuff him back in the box. Because once he gets real game tape and delivers, every excuse collapses. The irony is painful. For decades, the Browns begged for a quarterback who could lead, inspire, and connect. Now that they finally have one, they seem scared to let him lead. Meanwhile, the locker room sees everything. Players know who actually grinds and who coasts on pressers. Myles Garrett, face of the franchise, publicly praised Shedeur's maturity, film habits, and discipline. Insiders say he's in early, out late, absorbing the playbook like a vet, treating scout team reps like playoff drives. He hasn't acted like a backup. He's behaved like a leader in a holding pattern. For defenders like Garrett, respect isn't given, it's earned. His respect said everything. That's when a quiet football truth emerged. The locker room believed in Shedeur first, then the fans, then the media. The only holdouts were the suits upstairs, terrified of what happens when the truth outgrows their script. The divide widened, players living the game versus executives managing the image. The Browns tried to hold the line with the usual incantations. We trust the process. Competition makes everyone better. We're sticking to the plan. But every presser sounded more rehearsed than the last, and none answered the only question that matters. If he's that advanced, why isn't he taking first-team reps in live installs? Clips kept leaking, spirals on a rope, calm feet under pressure, teammates gravitating toward him. The not-ready guy looked like the only adult in the room. Social turned the talking points into punchlines. Reporters pressed harder. First-team reps? Internal tension? Why do defensive captains sound more convinced than the head coach? The answers got shorter.
There's been a major narrative shift in Cleveland. After Dillon Gabriel's shaky play, the Browns are suddenly hyping up Shedeur Sanders like they believed in him all along. Funny how fast the story changes when the results don't match the...
Colder, more brittle. When truth starts leaking, it doesn't stop. Every attempt to tamp it down made the story bigger, which leads to the simplest, ugliest equation in the building. This isn't about readiness, it's about risk. If Stefanski starts Shedeur and it fails, the coach owns it. If he benches him and keeps losing, he still owns it. The only choice that doesn't risk immediate blame is the status quo until the crowd, the room, and the film make it untenable. At this point, the pattern is fluorescent. Delay, deflect, distract. When Gabriel sputters, tease Shedeur developments. When fans revolt, leak praise. When insiders expose, float not ready. It's not a football plan, it's an optics loop. But here's the trap. The longer they stall, the more the legend grows. Shedeur doesn't even have to lobby. The Browns are doing the PR for him by looking scared of their own solution. They're proving he's not the one unprepared. They are. So what are they afraid of? Accountability. Once he plays and succeeds, the illusion dies. The process gets exposed as a stall tactic, and certain people lose control of the story, of the room, maybe of their titles. That's the culture problem at the core. An organization so used to managing belief that actual belief feels like a threat. The city sees it, the team feels it, the media is done pretending not to see it. The only people still clinging to the script are the ones paid to perform it. Pressure like this doesn't dissipate, it detonates. At some point, the crowd's patience, the defense's pride, and ownership's fear of being the last to move will intersect. When it does, Shedeur won't jog onto the field as a novelty. He'll arrive as the answer the building spent months pretending didn't exist. One deep strike that lights the stadium, one 2-minute drill that hums like he's been doing it for years, and the whole narrative flips overnight. From rookie risk to future franchise. Stefanski will try to frame it as timing, analysts will call it foresight, but everyone will know the truth. Cleveland didn't script this, Cleveland got cornered by it. And if he struggles, the spark still changes the room. Once the city sees him under center, there's no going back to cautious football and canned post games. He represents what the fans actually crave. Energy, swagger, a reason to believe again. That's why the Browns' delay keeps backfiring. The more they stall, the bigger the expectation becomes. And the more obvious it is that this isn't a talent issue. It's a control issue. By now, the only honest question is when. Ownership can feel the floor shifting. The defense is tired of wasting Sundays. The offense offensive room needs gravity. The fans are done paying for the process without a product. You can't sell patience forever. And the moment he plays, win or wobble, the franchise's identity changes from spin to proof. If you're here for that moment in real time, like the video so this reaches other Browns fans, and subscribe so you're here when the depth chart finally blinks. Cleveland keeps chasing a savior, then panics the second one shows up. That's the cycle. Hype, hesitation, heartbreak, but this time feels different because the fan base and the locker room aligned before the suits did. Shedeur Sanders is sitting right there, talented, focused, unbothered by noise, while the organization protects egos and narratives instead of wins. It's not just a football problem, it's a culture problem. The Browns built an identity on selling hope. For the first time in a long time, they might be staring at results, and results don't need a press release. So the ending writes itself. The clock they keep trying to stop is still ticking. When Shedeur finally steps onto that field and does what the room believes he can, the spin collapses, the excuses evaporate, and the franchise stops hiding behind, not yet. The Browns won't just get a new quarterback, they'll get a new identity. One built on talent, confidence, and truth instead of crisis scripts. Every great story needs a turning point.
Tonight,
For Cleveland, it's
we
the moment
explore
they
the
stop
vibrant
managing
history
belief
of
and
the
finally
American
let belief
West.
play.
From the rugged pioneers of the 1800s
Tommy
to
Rees
the
just lit
bustling...
a fuse in Cleveland. The offensive coordinator, now acting
Tonight,
head coach,
we explore
didn't
the
take the interim
vibrant
tag
history
like a
of the
babysitter
American
holding the
West.
clipboard until dad
From
gets
the
home.
rugged
He walked
pioneers
in,
of the
flipped the lights, and made
1800s
the
to the
boldest call
bustling
this
cities
franchise
of
has seen
today.
in years. He's preparing Shedeur Sanders to take over at quarterback with zero
Tonight,
apologies,
we explore
zero
the
hedging,
vibrant
and
history of the
absolutely zero
American
regard
West.
for Kevin Stefanski's
From the rugged
pride.
pioneers
While
of the
Stefanski watches his
1800s
legacy wobble
to the
from the
bustling
sideline,
cities of
Rees is
today.
executing a plan
This
the
land
whole
has
building
shaped
can feel, because this isn't a
cities
trial
of
balloon or a
today.
PR stunt.
This
It's a
land has
quarterback
shaped
revolution, and
countless
it might be
lives.
the most important pivot the Browns have made in a decade. If you're into no-spin film talk and real-time Browns updates, hit subscribe now so you don't miss the next drop when this moves from rumor to reality. From the first presser, you could hear it in Rees's voice. Belief, not the plastic, we like our room spin, real belief. He talked about Shedeur's grind. First one in, last one out, hammering film until coverages feel like second nature, pounding footwork and timing until the ball arrives early and receivers turn upfield without breaking stride. He described what every great quarterback eventually reaches when the work finally clicks. The game slows down. Windows appear before they open. Blitz tails give themselves away. You stop surviving and start dictating. Rees said Sanders is crossing that threshold, and when a quarterback gets there, efficiency isn't an accident, it's the baseline. He didn't promise fireworks, he promised completions, chains moving, points on the board. And when a reporter asked the question every fan screams, if he's this ready, why not play him now? Rees's answer wasn't a dodge so much as a roadmap. My focus is where we are right now. That's not my focus. Translation, not never, just not yet. Finish the build so the moment isn't a flash, it's a takeover. Behind the scenes, the work tells the story. Rees isn't tossing Sanders a few token reps and a pat on the helmet. He's coaching like a man with a deadline. Mechanics cleaned, base tightened, release sharpened, eyes trained to manipulate safeties with shoulders and helmet, not hope. And the big signal, first team reps, real ones, against the starting defense. Inside the actual plan, not scout team cosplay. That's where timing gets born, where language with receivers becomes instinct, where an offense becomes a room you know in the dark. Witnesses say practice looks different when 14 is in the huddle. Balls arrive on time. Intermediate throws hit at stride depth. Deep shots carry with arc and authority. Hot answers show quickly when fronts tilt. It's crisp. It's decisive. It's the thing this offense has begged for all year. Quick note, if you want the all-22 breakdown of those first-team sequences the second they go live, subscribe now so you're first in when we publish the Jets install cut-ups. If you watch Sanders at Colorado, none of this shocks you. Playing for Deion meant every Saturday was a spectacle. Cameras, critics, counterpunches, and still he stacked accuracy under chaos. 94 sacks behind a papier-mâché line, and he kept throwing dimes with ice in his veins. That environment didn't break him, it tempered him. The pressure found out he doesn't blink. Rees is wagering that the same poise scales on Sundays, and the practice tape keeps paying that bet. What makes the moment bigger than scheme, though, is the contrast. Because while Rees is building, Stefanski's been acting like Shedeur doesn't exist, brushing off questions, mumbling about plans that never change, clinging to Dillon Gabriel like the 53rd rep will end differently than the first 52. It isn't football logic anymore. It's ego dressed as process. The tension got so thick you could cut it. The acting head coach praising Sanders and prepping him like QB1 while the head coach pretends not to see him. That's how organizations split themselves down the grain. Then the Myles Garrett siren sounded. Mr. Professional, Mr. Keep It In-House. When a star like that finally steps to a mic and says, "Enough, it isn't a flare, it's an alarm." Garrett's been Atlas all year, flipping tackles like pages, wrecking protections, dragging the team toward wins that the offense keeps tossing back. You could hear the exhaustion. Stop talking about process and give us points. Emmanuel Acho spelled out what pros know. When a leader of Garrett's caliber vents in public, belief in the plan is gone. Not strained, gone. That's how locker rooms fracture, defense earning while the offense learns until patience snaps and all the polite sentences evaporate. And still, Stefanski doubled down. Same starter, same script, same presses about progress while Sundays kept saying otherwise. That's why Rees's elevation landed like a relief valve. He's not angling for drama or carving a throne. He's putting out a 5-alarm fire with the only thing that works in this league, conviction plus a plan. The plan isn't cute, it's tailored, tempo with intent, not panic, early mirrored concepts to simplify reads and test corner leverage, flood and dagger to punish quarters, play action glance when linebackers start peeking, sprint/half roll to change launch points, shrink pictures, and buy sight lines. Install 2-shot plays in the first 15 to stress the post safety. Build hot answers that exist before the snap. Slide to teeth, throw to grass. That's the menu for a placement assassin. That's Rees's wheelhouse. Overlay it with Shedeur's traits. Calm eyes, compact release, placement before hero ball, and you finally have an offense with a thesis. The best part is how Sanders has handled the noise. No tantrums, no subtweeting teammates, no politicking. He told fans on stream the only thing they needed to hear, he's emptying the tank in practice so that when the call comes, there's no debate. Excitement without entitlement, confidence with receipts. That matters in a room. Veterans don't ride for raw volume, they ride for guys who put in the work, protect the ball, and make their labor pay off. And the vets see it. Corners respect the throws that beat leverage. Safeties respect the eyes that hold them. Linemen respect the ball out on time. You can't fool them. They know who stresses them in practice. Respect grows quietly, then all at once. That's happening. Meanwhile, the public patience for the current script is gone. The Gabriel experiment started as a bridge and calcified into a rut. In college, Dillon looked composed when kept on rails. In the league, the windows closed and the railings vanish. Once defenses got tape, they disguised the picture, stole his first read, and the footwork started to fray. Panic throws off the back foot, sacks he could have thrown away, late balls on outbreakers, death by a dozen avoidables. It's not personal, it's the film. Backup talent is valuable in this league. Starter firepower is different. Cleveland's been trying to pretend those lines blur. They don't. Not when every rep drains your defense's soul. If Rees rolls with this, timing matters, and the schedule finally gives the Browns a runway, bye week to reset, a manageable opponent to unveil with. You can even slow play the announcement to Friday and keep the Jets guessing while you feed Shedeur every first-team snap you can find. That extra week isn't fluff, it's chemistry. It's learning a receiver's truth. How he leans at the top, how he hides the hands, how he accelerates through the catch point. It's reps on RPO footwork until the mesh looks like a blur, not a decision. It's turning a call sheet into muscle memory. So 3rd and 6 sounds like confidence, not coin flip. If you want that scripted first 15, the minute we get it, subscribe so the alert hits your phone before kickoff. None of this guarantees fireworks. There'll be misses. There'll be one he wants back. There'll be a 2nd and 10 where the right throw hits the turf and everyone breathes in through their teeth. That's rookie ball. The difference is he won't flinch. That's what Colorado taught him, how to find a beat in chaos and stick to it. And when he lands the first layered shot, something that makes the safety turn late and the sideline erupt, you'll see the defense's shoulders drop 2 inches and stay there. Relief is contagious. So is belief. The politics will fight back. Stefanski already tried the injury fog, tossing out that Sanders wasn't part of the plan. that he showed up hurt, that warm-ups proved he couldn't go. It rang thin. If he was hurt, why the week-long work? Why the first-team reps? Why the quarterback himself saying he felt great? Fans aren't naive. They smell when a narrative is stretched to cover ego. The more those stories unravel, the more the city sides with the guy who's doing the work and the coach who's building the plan. And if ownership is peeking into meeting rooms, and they always are, they're asking the same question as everyone else. Are we going to ride a talking point into the ground or let our season breathe? There's a version of this where Cleveland hesitates again, sticks with comfort, and the year drifts until the defense can't carry one more Sunday. There's another where they choose now. If they do, script the openers to calm the room and punch the clock. First, play a quick boundary access to get the ball out and tell the line you're protecting them. Second, a play-action glance to test the backers. Third, and medium, you give him a high-low he loves, not a prove you can thread a needle lecture. Then the shot, not because the crowd wants one, but because the safety does. Prove you can move him with your eyes, then throw where you took him from. Do that, and the offense stops feeling like a permission slip and starts feeling like a promise. 2 truths, then we're out. 1, this isn't only about saving a season, it's about breaking a habit. For years, the Browns have chosen caution and called it wisdom, chosen denial and called it development. You can feel the building teetering between repeating that pattern and growing out of it. 2, there's very little middle ground left. Either Shedeur Sanders saves Cleveland from itself, or he exposes how deep the rut goes. Both answers are useful. Only one is alive. Picture the moment. Graphic flashes. Camera finds him. Stadium goes voltage. He jogs in, not as a curiosity, but as a center of gravity. The first third down ball leaves early and hits through contact at the sticks, and you hear the sound this city forgot: trust. The defense jogs out and plays like it means something again. The sideline eyes are bright. The headset chatter is crisp. That's what a quarterback does when the work has been done. He turns noise into rhythm. Drop your take below, Jets debut, or hold one more week, and who gets the first shot. And if you want the instant film room right after his first start, subscribe and ring the bell so you're first in the door. Like the video, if you're feeling the turn, share it with the diehards in your group chat, and buckle up, because if destiny loves drama, it's about to pick a sideline in brown and orange.
One of them is going to be one.
That's what I'm talking about.
One of them is going to be
speak it
one.
into existence.
And the latter one would not go behind 4. Now, all this is subjective because
the Cleveland Browns just can't stop tripping over their own chaos. Every time it looks like they finally found a little stability, they manage to blow it at the finish line. And now brace yourself, because Deion Sanders is crashing into the picture like a full-blown storm, ready to pull his son Shedeur out of the madness and into a situation that actually respects his game.
I know where I kind of want them to go. And let's not forget Shallow, okay? But I know where I want them to go. So there's certain cities that ain't gonna happen.
Okay, you on point.
It's gonna be. It's gonna be an.
Could this be Cleveland's biggest fumble yet, or a trade bomb about to rock the entire NFL? Either way, the temperature just jumped about 20 degrees, and the alarms in Brady are blaring. Deion is not the type to sit back and watch his son get treated like a nice-to-have backup. This is prime time. We're talking about the man who turned Colorado from a forgotten underdog into appointment television. Swagger, pressure, pageantry, and receipts. He didn't just build a roster, he built a movement. And at the center of it all was Shedeur. Cool, measured, surgical.
But we're built for this, man. He's been raised for this. When he gets on the next stage, he's not going to faint and melt up under scrutiny, on opposition and pressure. He's a Sanders, dog. He's built for this. Like, we've gone through this, and he knows the trials and tribulations that he has to.
Running the show with precision while the cameras followed like gravity. When Prime steps into a room, boots clean, shades on, whistle gleaming, it's not an appearance, it's a signal. The standard just changed. If the Browns think they can run the same old school playbook, delay, deflect, downplay, and expect Deion to nod and smile, they don't know the language of Prime. At Colorado, Deion controls the temperature, the messaging, the music, the momentum. It's not chaos, it's choreography. Shedeur thrives inside that clarity. The offense is built around what he does best: rhythm throws, anticipation, late answers under pressure, and the brand wraps around him like custom armor. In Cleveland,
A couple teams that I won't allow him to play for. Whoa. This is my profession. I know what's behind the curtain. We ain't got to get back there for me to understand what's not prominent for my son. I'm not doing it.
And if he doesn't listen to you?
Who? No, you must mean owners, like not my son.
Have you told him privately who you would like for him to play for?
It's not like who I would like for him to play for.
That control would dissolve overnight. Instead of setting the tone, Prime would be stuck in the stands, watching his son become another name in the Browns quarterback graveyard, where hope goes to get mislabeled and traded for future considerations. Deion's loyalty isn't to the Shield, it's to the Sanders legacy. If he thinks the Browns are playing politics with his son's career, he'll pull the plug before the press release gets spell checked.
So let's be honest, guys. Shedeur Sanders is a hot commodity, so it makes sense on all these NFL insiders keep talking about trade talk. We're gonna break down all these receipts together, then I'm gonna give my synopsis. But yes, Shedeur Sanders is predicted now to a new situation that's been breaking NFL news.
And that's the uncomfortable truth nobody in Cleveland wants to say out loud. Respect isn't something you negotiate after the deal. You show it on day one. If the Browns truly saw a franchise centerpiece, they would have treated him like one from jump. First team reps that actually mean something. Install periods that bend toward his profile. Public backing that matches the private plan. Instead, the signals were mixed.
He's being predicted to be traded to a new NFC contender, daddy. So guys, this thing been circling around Shedeur nonstop, and I'm not gonna be fake with y'all. I'm waiting for the moment of realization, and really realize that Shedeur might possibly get a chance with a real NFL franchise that's really going to cater.
The messaging was muddled, and the patience line turned into a smoke screen. Meanwhile, in Boulder, Shedeur is already a national brand, stacking NIL, driving sponsorships, and owning his narrative without asking permission. One path compounds momentum. The other walks into a storm behind a shaky line and a fan base conditioned to burn jerseys by halftime. That's not development. That's roulette. Hit subscribe if you want the real-time read when Deion's next move drops, because the moment he speaks with his chest, this story flips again.
Shedeur has started every game in high school, every game in college except one, and he's prepared for this next level and this journey that he's about to go on. I think he's the most equipped. He's had, Cam, the 7 different offensive coordinators.
Yes, sir.
And
people forget how Prime responds to doubt. He doesn't argue, he escalates. When critics said Colorado wouldn't sniff relevance, he turned Saturdays into a spectacle and put the sport on tilt for a month straight. When they said Shedeur was untested, he let the tape talk. Ball placement, poise, answers under fire, while the metrics climbed and the noise fell in line. So when Cleveland acts like it's doing the kid a favor, you can practically hear Deion laugh behind those designer frames. In his world, the league should be chasing Shedeur. Teams should be lining up with a vision, not just a locker, explaining how they'll build around him, not how he'll earn his place behind a carousel they can't stop spinning. Every day the Browns hesitate, his leverage grows. More clips, more buzz, more proof that he doesn't need the league to validate the blueprint. Colorado wins by existing, Cleveland bleeds by explaining. That's the PR war, and right now it isn't close.
A line that was always criticized and scrutinized, but he still stood and delivered. I think he's the best one for the job for any city, and he's the most equipped. Oftentimes, we draft these quarterbacks that been on these elite teams. Now they get in a situation where it's not as conducive to their success, and they choke.
The Sanders story is self-powered. Every throw a thumbnail, every presser a sermon, every week another reminder that control beats chaos and clarity beats committees. Could Deion actually pull his son and wait for the right NFL fit? Absolutely. He's shown he'll flip an entire roster to protect the standard. If the environment fails the respect test, he moves the environment, not the standard. That's why a stay put, keep building, wait for the right call plan feels both realistic and terrifying.
Browns predicted to trade Colorado legend Shedeur Sanders to NFC contender to elevate ceilings originally appeared on the Sporty Sanders project for the Cleveland Browns. Doesn't seem to be going according to plan. The Browns don't appear to have Sanders in their immediate plans for this season or even the next. Currently, he's serving as an emergency insurance quarterback, and during the training camp, he was sometimes throwing to staff members instead of players. Now, this is actually true. He wasn't getting proper reps. He wasn't being utilized for the stature of the player that he.
If you're in Cleveland's front office, because if Prime parks the bus in Boulder for another year, he's not losing ground, he's stacking brand equity while the NFL reshuffles and the right situation comes into focus. And yes,
one of the things I've chuckled about a little bit, all right? I don't want you to take this the wrong way.
Okay.
I'm shocked your kids didn't get your speed.
No.
I'm always like, how the hell did that not happen?
They mama side.
That got
they mama side.
Okay.
And I'm not happy about that. It's they mama side. But yeah. But you know what?
There's a wilder version of this that people keep whispering about. Shedeur landing in the league with Deion on the headset. Imagine the edge. Your head coach is the same man who molded your mind, your mechanics, and your mentality since high school. That's not an advantage. That's a cheat code. It's rhythm you can't teach and trust you can't simulate.
I have a question for the chat, and Uncle Joe, I'm not sure if y'all know, how long has Jimmy Haslam been with the Cleveland Browns?
A long ass time.
A long time. So since 2000, the Cleveland Browns have had 35 different starting quarterbacks. Since 2000, 35 different starting quarterbacks. But now you're going to take it upon yourself to say that Shedeur Sanders wasn't your pick. And that's probably why it's going to work. Because you had no dealings in him being drafted. Watch how God work. Watch how God work.
What about all them other picks you had? Who picked were they?
His. But he never came out before and said this before.
Never. No coordinator carousel, no identity crisis, no split vision. One philosophy from weight room to red zone. That's how you accelerate greatness. That's how you build a dynasty, not just a roster. Contrast that with Cleveland's figure it out as we go energy. Quarterbacks aren't developed, they're processed. A hot week becomes a brand, a cold half becomes a referendum, and the plan shifts with the wind. That's how careers get bent out of shape, talent thrown into turbulence, and then blamed for the turbulence.
He's done nothing wrong. So why are we having this conversation about his character? I'm going to tell you why. Because you got people hating on his daddy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And they want any excuse that they can come up with. And let me remind America why Deion Sanders, we gonna say this. This is why Deion Sanders is hated by some people. Because he was the greatest. And he told you so. And then went out there and showed you show. And you were helpless to do anything.
Under Deion, the system wraps the player. In Cleveland, the player is asked to survive the system. It always comes back to consistency. Prime doesn't force Shedeur into an outdated binder. He designs the binder around the quarterback. Tempo, spacing.
I don't think Shedeur would be the quarterback he is if he had that.
I hear you.
Because now he has to really use the intellect and the instinct and understanding of the game and understand defenses and all that. So, and the thing about
not worried about running and doing
the thing
that.
about this kid, and I'm gonna give you some heat.
Yeah, cool.
How many quarterbacks going in this draft have started every game in high school?
Right.
Every game in college but one has had
leverage. The whole thing tuned to the kid's strengths. In Cleveland, you're more likely to get a laminated script and a shrug. Run it better. But what does better even mean when the pocket is leaking and the install doesn't match the personnel? That gap between philosophy and reality is where confidence goes to die. And confidence is Shedeur's currency. Now imagine sideline late in the fourth. Other teams are chewing clocks and chewing out receivers. Shedeur glances over, shades steady hand.
College football in the pros, and we don't play without pads on and tackling. So until I see live game action, I'm going to reserve I think my guy can play. I've said it a million times. I want to see if Gabriel can play like that too. That's all. I just want to.
Turn on the Ohio State game and see if he can play.
A small signal he's known for a decade, and the whole picture slows down. That's father-to-son football at pro speed. That's the part no defensive coordinator can scheme. Intuition and alignment, not just play calls. With Prime in charge, Shedeur isn't a seat filler. He's the blueprint. The offense is built to elevate, not evaluate. The growth curve is honest, not performative. The patience is real, not conditional. That's how you build a franchise face. That's how you sustain it. And that's why this situation keeps buzzing. It's not just about a jersey.
Tony, they're not playing Ohio State. They're playing the Bengals in week 1.
Yeah, they're not playing Baylor either or Colorado State.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean,
you're basing your opinion on what Shedeur did at Colorado, where he's 13-11 as a starter, and he went to the Alamo Bowl.
There were a lot of great college players, Tony. Doesn't mean they're going to play well in the pros. We'll have to wait and
But
see.
you think Shedeur's going to play well in the pro?
And I don't know. I don't know if he is. I think
it's about stewardship. Too many teams swear they believe in young quarterbacks, then flip the script the second the hits stack up. One rough half turns into a narrative. One bad Sunday becomes a brand. That's the Cleveland routine. It's not malice, it's muscle memory. But it still breaks careers. Shedeur shouldn't be the next chapter in that cycle. He's built to shine. On time, on beat, on brand. You don't toss that into a blender and hope it pours out clean. Cleveland loyalists will say he should want to fix it here. Respectfully, why? Respect is mutual, not mythical. If the process isn't aligned, the results won't be either. Deion knows this. That's why his answer is always the same. Protect the standard, protect the player, protect the legacy. If the situation matches the vision, great. If not, we wait, because the Sanders timeline is generational, not transactional. This is why stay in Colorado until the right offer reads less like avoidance and more like strategy. It preserves the brand, maintains the leverage, and keeps the development arc ascending. The NIL pipeline is strong. The spotlight is national. The film is clean. The body of work keeps stacking. Meanwhile, the NFL moves fast. Jobs turn over, systems change, decision makers cycle, and the right marriage has a way of appearing when you're ready and steady. That patience is power, not pause. And if you're the Browns and you truly want him, show it. Not with slogans, but with structure. Define the system around him, not around a committee. Put the right teachers in the room, secure the line, publicly own the plan, then follow it when the weather turns ugly. Anything else is just more noise, and the Sanders camp doesn't buy noise. They make it. Quick reminder, if you want the inside line when the next Shedeur headline drops, hit subscribe and turn on alerts. We track the real signals, not the fluff. There's a universe where Cleveland gets this right, where the franchise humbles itself, aligns around a real identity, and sells a coherent vision directly to the Sanders brain trust. But visions aren't vibes, they're blueprints with proof. Right now, the Browns are asking for trust on credit after years of overdrafts. Deion runs cash only. Bring a plan, bring accountability, bring consistency, or bring silence. Because the brand doesn't need saving, the career doesn't need fixing, and the leverage isn't leaving Boulder just because an NFL logo looks better on a step and repeat. So what happens next? Likely this. Prime keeps stacking wins and moments, Shedeur keeps adding layers to the tape, and the league keeps inching toward them, not the other way around. The first team that pitches respect as strategy and proves it with personnel, scheme, and patience wins. The rest can keep refreshing a depth chart that never stabilizes. That's not arrogance, that's arithmetic. Cleveland can still pivot. They can stop scripting pressers and start scripting protection. They can turn development into decisions. They can replace eventually with exactly how. But if they won't, Deion will make the choice simple. Preserve the standard, protect the legacy, and wait for a partner worthy of the investment. Because when the stakes are generational, the only bad move is a rushed one. Bottom line, Shedeur deserves more than a lottery ticket in a wind tunnel. He deserves a field that's set for him to play his game, decisive, poised, demanding. Deion's job is to guarantee he gets it. That's not meddling. That's guardianship. The Browns can call it leverage, call it difficult, call it whatever helps them sleep. Prime will call it what it is, leadership. And unless Cleveland proves it can match that, the answer will stay the same. Thanks, but no thanks. The dynasty is already under construction in Colorado. Every throw, every week, every camera angle, tightening the frame around the bigger story. If the NFL wants in, it knows where to knock and how to talk when the door opens. Until then, the Sanders brand moves on its terms, not on anyone's timeline. Like, share, drop your take below, and subscribe so you don't miss the next turn, because this saga is getting louder, smarter, and a whole lot more interesting from here. Twitter turned into an absolute Reddit threads exploded overnight. They didn't just lose to the on Sunday night. It wasn't a defeat. It was a full-blown humiliation that confirmed every fear Browns fans have ever had about their franchise's dysfunction. And one name sits squarely at the center of it all. War zone, Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers imploded Dillon Gabriel. If you watched that game, you know this wasn't your typical quarterback meltdown. It was a total system failure, broadcast in prime time for the world to see. Gabriel didn't just struggle, he collapsed. The stats alone tell the story. 50 pass attempts. Read that again. 50. 50 desperate throws trying to save an unsalvageable performance. The result, barely 220 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 spark. No leadership, no rhythm. Nothing resembling NFL-caliber quarterback play. Sure, his completion rate looked fine on paper, but anyone watching saw the truth. Checkdowns, dump-offs, and timid 3-yard passes on 3rd and 8. This wasn't offense, it was surrender. Pittsburgh's defense didn't even bother disguising their coverages. They sat in simple too-high looks and dared Gabriel to throw deep. He couldn't, or wouldn't. Open routes went ignored, receivers were stranded midfield, and by the 4th quarter, Steelers defenders were literally laughing between plays. It wasn't just bad football, it was embarrassing. That's no exaggeration. Cameras caught it all. Steelers defensive backs were smiling, pointing, and mocking the Browns offense in real time.
Mask.
When do you ever see professionals clowning opponents
For most
mid-game?
of us, the word
Only when the
alone
quarterback
chills
play
the
has
room.
completely fallen
But for
apart.
John
Browns
Travolta,
fans
it's
watched
a
in
storm that
disbelief
hit
as
3
frustration turned
separate
into
times,
full-blown
each
rage,
one
and
stealing
social
a
media
woman he
exploded.
loved and
Twitter
testing
became
how
ground
much a
zero
human
for Cleveland's meltdown. Memes hit instantly. One viral post showed Dillon Gabriel photoshopped onto a practice squad roster with the caption, "Finally found his level." Another compared his stat line to Brandon Whedon's, showing the retired quarterback somehow looked better. Within hours, retweets and likes were piling up by the thousands. The discourse turned savage. A brutal tweet with 47,000 likes read, "We traded Joe Flacco for this starch." Another fan posted, "Dillon Gabriel isn't the answer. He's the problem drowning this franchise." Replies flooded in with laughing gifs, clips of missed throws, and highlight reels of Gabriel's endless checkdowns. This wasn't just frustration anymore. It was revolt. Even national media jumped in on the chaos. Colin Cowherd opened his show declaring, "The Browns have their real franchise quarterback sitting on the bench while Stefanski ruins the season with blind loyalty to an overmatched player." Then Stephen A. Smith took it up a notch. He didn't just criticize. He detonated. "This isn't bad coaching. This is coaching malpractice. Everyone watching can see it. Shedeur Sanders gives the Browns their best shot at winning. Everyone except Kevin Stefanski, apparently. He refuses to make the obvious switch. Why? Pride, politics, stubborn loyalty, whatever it is, it's tanking the season fast. Even analysts who never agree are on the same side now." Skip Bayless nodded along with Stephen A. Smith, saying, "I've watched Shedeur since Colorado. The young man has NFL arm talent, leadership, and fire." Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel looks completely overwhelmed against real defenses. It's simple. Play your best quarterback, but Cleveland won't do it. Former players piled on too. Robert Griffin III tweeted, "If your quarterback throws 50-plus passes, gets 220 yards, and 0 touchdowns against a division rival, your offense is broken, period." Another ex-Browns quarterback privately texted a local reporter, "Everyone inside that building knows Shedeur should be playing. Coaches are just scared to admit they messed up." And the numbers back them up. This isn't one bad game. Gabriel's been struggling all season. Defenses have figured him out. His reads are slow, his arm underwhelming, and his pocket presence practically non-existent. Yet the coaching staff keeps rolling him out there expecting something new. That's the definition of insanity. Now the locker room's reaching a breaking point. Sources say players are fed up. Offensive linemen are tired of blocking for a quarterback who won't take chances. The frustration is boiling, and everyone knows it. This isn't just a quarterback controversy anymore. It's a team unraveling from the inside. Cleveland's offense is collapsing in plain sight. The offensive line's buying time, receivers are running sharp routes, and Dillon Gabriel is just dumping it off every play. He's choosing safety over aggression, ignoring open looks downfield. One veteran receiver reportedly told a coach, "Why am I running deep routes if my quarterback won't throw past 15 yards? Meanwhile, the defense is furious. They played championship-caliber football against Pittsburgh, holding the Steelers under 20 points, forcing turnovers, giving the offense perfect field position, and Gabriel wasted everything. The locker room's splitting. Sources say one defensive captain confronted Gabriel post-game. Words were exchanged before teammates pulled them apart. Stefanski brushed it off in public, but insiders say tension has reached critical levels. And the most painful part? Shedeur Sanders is just sitting there, watching it all unravel, knowing he could change everything. His teammates see it too. They've watched him in practice, seen the arm strength, the poise, the confidence. Everyone in that locker room knows he gives them the best shot at winning. Yet the coaching staff keeps him benched, trapped by draft politics and pride. No one understands it anymore. Reports now suggest veterans are quietly pushing for a change. Multiple players have approached Stefanski directly, asking him to give Shedeur a chance. Even the offensive coordinator and several position coaches reportedly agree Gabriel's limitations have become impossible to hide. But Stefanski, he's standing firm, publicly defending a sinking ship as the locker room loses faith and the season slips away. Let's address the elephant in the room. This isn't just about Dillon Gabriel's struggles. This is about Kevin Stefanski's coaching credibility collapsing in real time. His refusal to adapt. His blind loyalty to a quarterback who's clearly overmatched and his failure to recognize the obvious solution sitting on the bench is destroying his reputation across the league. Privately, other coaches and front office execs are already questioning his judgment. Has he lost the locker room completely? The breaking point came during Stefanski's post-game press conference. A reporter asked directly, "Have you considered playing Shedeur Sanders given the offense's struggles?" Stefanski's answer, "Dillon gives us the best chance to win." Twitter erupted. That quote instantly became a rallying cry for angry Browns fans demanding a coaching change. One fan edited the clip with a laugh track, another set it to circus music. The internet mockery was relentless. And here's the painful truth. This Browns roster is built to win right now. Elite defense, explosive receivers, a solid offensive line, and reliable special teams. Every piece of a playoff team is there, except a competent quarterback. Gabriel's limitations are handcuffing the entire offense, while Shedeur Sanders, the clear spark they need, sits idle on the bench. Pittsburgh fans are having the time of their lives. Their timelines are filled with trolling comments like, "Thanks for the easy win, and please keep starting Gabriel. Sincerely, AFC North." The loss didn't just sting, it shifted momentum in the division and torpedoed Cleveland's playoff hopes before Thanksgiving even arrived. This wasn't just another defeat, it was a season-defining disaster. The national narrative flipped overnight. Just weeks ago, analysts called the Cleveland Browns a dark horse playoff contender. Now they're the NFL's latest punchline. Talk shows are roasting the franchise for organizational chaos, wasted defensive talent, and coaching incompetence. Cleveland has once again become the league's laughingstock. Another promising season destroyed by a quarterback crisis. Fans who've endured decades of heartbreak watch their brief glimpse of hope crumble in real time. The Shedeur Sanders situation grows more absurd by the day. A fifth-round rookie outshining the higher draft pick in practice, with teammates quietly backing him and fans screaming for a change. Even national media are asking the same question: why won't they play the better quarterback? The answer? Pride and politics. Gabriel's starting job has become a sunk cost, and the Browns refuse to admit their mistake. They poured draft capital, public hype, and reputation into him, and now they're letting ego bury their season. Meanwhile, the better option, confident, hungry, and clearly capable, sits on the sideline waiting. By Monday morning, Twitter was merciless. Trending hashtags like #StartShedeur and #GabrielGottaGo dominated timelines. Fans were creating mock trades, editing posters with Gabriel's face under the headline "Missing Browns Offense," and turning social media into a full-blown anti-Gabriel movement. The message couldn't be clearer. Cleveland's loyalty to failure is becoming its biggest enemy. The creativity was wild, the anger undeniable. Cleveland fans made their message crystal clear. They want a quarterback change, and they want it now. Some even organized digital protests, flooding social media with Shedeur Sanders profile pictures and hashtags demanding action. Thousands joined coordinated tweet storms targeting the Browns' official accounts. Fan podcasts dropped emergency episodes breaking down Dillon Gabriel's failures and pleading for Shedeur's promotion. This wasn't a small outcry. It became a united fan movement. The majority of the Browns' base is now standing behind one demand: start Shedeur Sanders now. The organization has reached a breaking point. Either they keep backing a failing quarterback and risk losing the locker room completely, or they admit the mistake and give Shedeur the chance to save what's left of their season. Time's running out. Division rivals are gaining ground and the playoff window is closing fast. The Cleveland Browns have officially become the definition of organizational dysfunction. A talented roster is being wasted, an elite defense is being squandered, and the one quarterback who could spark a comeback remains benched. This isn't bad luck. It's coaching malpractice. A complete disconnect between leadership and reality is destroying a team built to win, while fans scream for the obvious fix that management refuses to make. The Pittsburgh loss made everything crystal clear. Browns fans finally saw what they feared all along. This team doesn't have a quarterback capable of winning meaningful games, and the coaching staff refuses to make the change everyone's begging for. The season's spiraling out of control. While the solution sits on the bench, the result? A social media meltdown, Twitter chaos, national mockery, and a franchise drowning in its own stubbornness. Now only one question remains: how long before Cleveland makes the inevitable switch? Every week, Stefanski delays it. His credibility sinks deeper. Every start for Dillon Gabriel pushes the fan base further away. Every loss slams the playoff door tighter. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders keeps his head down, working quietly, waiting for the moment that everyone knows is coming. Browns fans have spoken loud and clear, through memes, posts, and endless threads. Gabriel isn't the answer, he's the problem. The city knows it, the players know it, and honestly, the whole NFL knows it. So when will Cleveland finally face reality? What was supposed to be the Browns' big comeback season has turned into yet another quarterback disaster. Another wasted year fueled by pride, indecision, and a refusal to make the one move that could still save it. Start Shedeur Sanders now. Jalen Ramsey didn't just play football that night. He hijacked the entire story and put it on blast for the league to see. One moment he was locking up receivers, the next he was standing over Dillon Gabriel, pointing across the field with a smirk that said more than any post-game quote ever could. Cameras caught everything. The gesture, the roar, the crowd going ballistic, and within minutes, the internet turned that clip into a national debate with real stakes. Was it a taunt, a power move, or something deeper? Because to anyone actually paying attention, that wasn't a sack celebration. That was Ramsey calling out the Browns' decision-making in 4K. He wasn't pointing just to make noise, he was pointing at Shedeur Sanders, and that silent signal said what half the league's been whispering for weeks. You're wasting time. The future's standing right there. It was football fused with theater, competition turning into prophecy, and for once a viral NFL moment actually meant something big. Deep drop for Gabriel.
Until life sent a lifeline on a film set in 1988.
Jalen Ramsey in the game. Something happened. And I don't know if he caught a pick, a sack, or something, because I don't know what he do. He went to the sideline and pointed to Shedeur. You need to be out here. Like, you out here. I was like, whoa. Shout out to Jalen Ramsey. So he was trying to tell you that Shedeur need to be the one in the game. Don't forget, the question is, should Shedeur Sanders start versus Miami? That's the question that I have, that I want y'all.
Rolls right, chased, boom. Jalen Ramsey rockets off the edge and buries him clean and violent like a headline with shoulder pads. Gabriel goes down and Ramsey doesn't dance. He stares, then points straight toward the Browns sideline where Shedeur stands helmet in hand, and the building feels the message hit like thunder. Within minutes, that clip was everywhere. ESPN, TikTok, you name it, with hashtags like #StartShedeur and #Ramsey. Set it popping before the final gun even sounded.
Ramsey, Steelers star defender, actually pointed at QB Shedeur Sanders, who was on the sideline for the Browns after sacking Dillon Gabriel. This is crazy.
Deep drop for Gabriel. Out of the pocket, on the move, caught from behind.
Then came the second sack. Nastier, louder. Ramsey folds Gabriel up, stands over him, and this time taps his wrist like he's checking the time, and the crowd absolutely loses it. That wasn't ego, that was a countdown, a warning that Cleveland is late to its own future, and the excuses are out of clock. Ramsey turned the field into a stage and the game into a live episode of NFL reality. Every gesture felt scripted, except it wasn't. It was raw and perfectly timed. By the end, he had 2 sacks, 1 viral moment, and a message echoing in every facility. The Browns' answer isn't under center. He's standing on the sideline waiting for courage. That watch tap wasn't my time. It was you're late, and everyone could feel it land. Every player has a signature move, a dance, a flex, a finger wag, but Ramsey's wrist tap felt symbolic, almost biblical, like a prophet calling out a stubborn kingdom that won't listen. He didn't clown Gabriel so much as he exposed an organization's blind spot, a system addicted to safe decisions while real juice stands idle. This is Jalen Ramsey. He lives on the line between confidence and chaos, but underneath the swagger, there's always intent. And that night, his body language screamed, "You can't bench destiny." The NFL has talkers, but not many messengers. Ramsey became one by saying out loud, without words, what fans, analysts, and players were tiptoeing around. Meanwhile, Shedeur didn't chirp or pose. He stayed calm, focused, unreadable, the quietest person in the loudest moment, and somehow that silence hit harder than a speech. That's the power here. In a league obsessed with noise, his stillness carried weight you felt across the stadium. Poor Dillon Gabriel, he wanted to play ball, but he ended up starring in somebody else's movie, a placeholder in a scene that didn't belong to him. From the first hit, you could see it. He wasn't the villain. He was the stand-in, and each snap looked like borrowed time as the stadium started chanting another
He
name.
keeps coming
Every
back
miss,
wearing the
every
same
stalled
brutal
drive,
mask,
every
cancer.
check down under
For
too
most of
high
us, the
became
word
another
alone
argument
chills
for
the room.
Shedeur Sanders,
But for John
another
Travolta,
spark
it's
in
a
a fire
storm that hit
Cleveland
3
can't smother
separate.
anymore. When Ramsey flattened him the second time and pointed again, it felt like Judgment Day. Not personal, just principle. And the league understood it instantly. Even commentators joked that Ramsey had done more to promote Shedeur than Cleveland's PR team. And honestly, where's the lie? You could feel it on the sideline. The fake smiles, the long stares, the quiet, not fear, but realization that the room had flipped and the future had a face. Once a locker room starts whispering about the backup, a starter's time starts running out, everyone knows how that clock works. By night's end, it wasn't about the score, it was about who's next, and the answer wasn't hidden anymore. While the stadium buzzed, Shedeur stood still. No smirk, no clap back, just that steady look of someone who already knows how this story ends. Most young players chase attention, he doesn't. His game speaks, his work backs it up, and his silence amplifies everything around him. You can feel the shift when he steps on the sideline. That quiet charge that makes veterans nod and fans whisper, "That's the guy," without saying a word. Want more breakdowns without the fluff? Like the video and subscribe so you're here when the next twist hits live. Jalen Hurts almost never steps into other players' arcs. When he publicly co-signed Shedeur, that wasn't clout, that was respect you can't fake. From locker rooms to podcasts, the message spread. He's not just next, he's ready now, and the calm discipline people once mistook for passivity is actually his edge. The Browns staff keeps acting like they don't see it, but every stalled series and every camera pan to Shedeur's steady stare turns the temperature up another degree. In a league that worships volume, he's proven the loudest sound can be silence, pressure without words that makes coaches sweat. At first it was chatter, tweets, sideline whispers. Then the tone shifted when voices inside the league started echoing the same point. Hurts put his name on it, then more cosigns followed. Jerry Jeudy, Myles Garrett, and even opponents nodding through the noise with a simple, "That kid's got it." Behind the scenes, practice clips circulated. Clean feet, laser release.
Unwilling to like Shedeur Sanders. That you'll lie about today's performance about Dillon Gabriel. We just witnessed that atrocity that is known as the Cleveland Browns offense. Kevin Stefanski, what are you doing, man? You're gonna lose almost every single game this year playing that type of bullshit.
Quiet huddle command, and teammates
And he
labeled
noticed
him
that after Kelly passed, he felt
obsessed,
saturated
next level.
by everyone
Every
else's
game,
sorrow
Gabriel
piling
started
onto
without
his
delivering
own.
only fueled the wave because film doesn't lie and players don't either. Ramsey's gesture opened a door, and other defenders walked through it, mic'd up murmurs like, "They're sitting that kid, and he'd cook if they let him," rang out on broadcast. That's not gossip, that's alignment. And alignment like that doesn't happen by accident in a cutthroat league. Shows started dropping his name in segments that weren't even about Cleveland. If you're the Browns, you have to
Giving
at
him
least
no
look at
space to
Shedeur
breathe.
became the new baseline take. You could see the panic creep into the building. When the league whispers your backup's name louder than your starters, you're running out of cover. Even the locker room energy split. Some rallying around Gabriel out of loyalty, others quietly drifting toward the quarterback who hasn't even started yet, which says it
Giving
all.
him no
It
space
wasn't
to
loud,
breathe.
but it was real. In huddles, in side glances,
Giving him
in
no
"we'll get
space
him
to
next
breathe.
week" that didn't sound convincing
takeaway-
anymore. Cleveland hesitates at the worst times. It's almost tradition.
was
Drafting
sharp.
the wrong guy,
Step back
benching
to
the right
process,
one,
or
and
else
calling
you
it
end up
stability
like two
while the
boats
season
sinking
suffocates.
together.
This
And
year feels
nobody
different. Not
gets
another
saved.
controversy, but an inevitability hanging over everything from the box to the bleachers. The
For a
offense
while,
looks
he-
flat, the calls look predictable, and every Gabriel mistake turns into
For
a
a
highlight
while,
reel
he-
for change, while the camera keeps finding Shedeur standing ready.
That way.
The curse isn't luck,
For a while,
it's
he-
fear. Fear of believing in potential
For a
and
while,
taking
he-
the bold swing when the moment calls for it. It's like trying to fix a busted engine by tightening the same bolt that stripped it in the first place. Stubborn and circular. Inside, the body language tells on the room. The line looks disconnected, receivers are visibly frustrated, and the defense is tired of dragging the offense uphill. Deep down, everyone thinks the same thing. The answer is standing right there, but leadership can't or won't pull the handle. Kevin Stefanski looks like a man trying to convince himself the fire isn't spreading while he's breathing smoke. The time for speeches is over. The crowd has crossed from impatient to united. Start Shedeur chants start earlier and hit louder each week, and belief has officially turned against the status quo. When your defense roots for the backup, when the offense side-eyes the plan, and when the fans chant in one voice, that's not controversy, that's mutiny. Ramsey might have cracked the cycle. His gesture didn't just call out one choice, it exposed a pattern. Cleveland drags its feet until the window slams. The moment he pointed at Shedeur, the season stopped being about football and started being about accountability. Who's brave enough to make the move? Old guard voices called it disrespectful. Players, fans, and even rivals called it honest, and the split said everything. Networks looped it like breaking news, memes turned the watch tap into prophecy. It's Shedeur time, and former QBs chimed in. When defenders campaign for your backup, it's already over. This wasn't noise, it was momentum. Analysts dissected the clip like Zapruder, and the desk question became, how long can Cleveland ignore this? Inside, quiet tension turned into open momentum. Players who nodded politely at Gabriel started making eye contact with Shedeur, hanging closer after drills, sinking reps just in case. The organization tried to pretend nothing changed. Stefanski brushed it off. PR said, trust the process. But the more they denied, the less control they had. On Monday Night Countdown, the panel stopped sugarcoating. Ramsey didn't embarrass the Browns, he exposed them. And that line stuck like glue. Suddenly, this wasn't about sacking a quarterback, it was about sacking a system, a culture that rewards caution and punishes courage. Somewhere in that building, they know the clock Ramsey tapped wasn't counting seconds, it was counting down to Shedeur. The crowd's not asking if anymore, they're just waiting on when, and every awkward third down miss knocks another second off. Want the straight talk when the switch flips? Subscribe so you hear the minute the depth chart finally matches the film. You can feel tension humming through the walls, coaches whisper, reporters circle, and players talk about Shedeur like a calendar event, not a question. Every rep in practice feels heavier, like even the air knows what's next and is just waiting for the headset to catch up. The irony is wild. The franchise famous for hesitation has accidentally built the perfect storm. A young quarterback with composure, a room tired of losing faith, and a league that already sees the ending. When that day comes, when Shedeur jogs out as QB1, it won't feel like a debut, it'll feel like the world catching up to the truth that's been there for weeks. You'll see Ramsey on a sideline somewhere, helmet off, grinning like a man who saw the future first and simply pointed at it. You'll see Hurts nodding from afar like, yup, that's the one, because respect recognizes its own in
later
any
tried to
uniform.
extort the
You'll see
family
Browns
for
fans
$25
finally
million,
exhale and remember what
threatening
belief
to
feels like when
exploit
the ball
private
comes out
medical
on time
details
and the
from the
offense
worst day
breathes.
of their life.
And when that first pass leaves his hand, clean spiral, perfect tempo, crowd detonating, you'll understand what that gesture really meant all along. Ramsey wasn't checking his time, he was marking the moment, the line where doubt stops and proof begins. This was never about disrespect, it was about recognition. One player bold enough to say what the room felt, and one quarterback steady enough to let the work speak. When the clock hits 0 and Shedeur steps into the huddle, it won't be the start of something new, it'll be the reveal of what's been coming the whole time. Written in silence, confirmed in sweat, and stamped in history by a single motion from a star who told the truth with his hand. Time's up, the countdown's over, the Shedeur Sanders era has begun. If you rode with this breakdown, like the video, subscribe, and stay locked. You didn't just watch a story, you witnessed a shift.
Browns media is done with Dillon Gabriel. After another ugly offensive showing, reporters are saying what fans have been screaming for weeks, it's time for Shedeur Sanders. This is bad, man. When the media is done with Dillon Gabriel and they making jokes and they talking about they cussing at the TV and the kids don't repeat what they say, this is bad. Even that hot air balloon, they saying Dillon Gabriel threw up, man, he been overthrown.
And he noticed that after Kelly passed, he felt saturated by everyone else's sorrow.
He missed wide open in training camp, so what you expect in the game?
What if I told you Cleveland's so-called golden boy just blew up online, and not because he threw a game winner? It started with a reporter, a hot mic, and a moment that should have stayed off camera. In seconds, the clip raced across timelines, and the city's next big thing, the quarterback everyone was told to believe in, became the internet's favorite punchline. This wasn't routine backlash after a bad throw. It was a detonation, the kind that makes PR scramble, teammates go quiet, and fans stare at their phones wondering what just happened.
Can get. Dillon Gabriel is a limited player at the quarterback position. He puts a ceiling on whatever your offense is capable of doing. Not that the offense was lighting it up with Joe Flacco as the quarterback, but it's gotten worse with Dillon Gabriel as your guy. And at some point, you have to move on just for change's sake, if for no other reason, to give hope to the other 52 guys in the locker room that maybe something can change. Maybe we can find a way to run in this up.
Cleveland's hero was trending for all the wrong reasons. And here's the twist. The story isn't just about one frustrated rookie. It's about what happens every time Cleveland builds a savior just to burn him down. The same fans who cheered last week are posting memes this week. The same media that called him the future is now serving think pieces on why he never was. If you've lived in this town long enough, you know this rhythm by heart. But this time it didn't start on the field. It started behind the cameras, inside the circle that built Dillon Gabriel's image and then tore it up.
A couple of days that the Browns media is done with this whole Dillon Gabriel thing, and everything is looking suspect with them and this whole Shedeur thing, because it looked like there was definitely a planned attack on Shedeur character and performance on the football field, set in stone by people that work in Cleveland media. People can say what they want. I'm holding true.
I don't
definitely believing that
to agree with it.
There was
I
a
don't
conspiracy
even need to
depict Shedeur,
I
ability to be a certain way. And
It keeps coming
y'all
back
remember when
wearing
he
the
got that
same
speeding
brutal
ticket,
mask.
right? It was a speeding ticket.
The moment it stopped selling and in the smoke, one name keeps echoing back. Shedeur Sanders, the guy Cleveland buried months ago, suddenly floating back to the surface. Cleveland doesn't just play football, it performs it. Every season begins like a movie trailer. Dramatic music.
Granted, was he going fast? Yeah, he was going fast. But the fact of the matter is, they blew it out of proportion. Myles Garrett, like 2 weeks later, ended up getting a speeding ticket too. But you didn't see it reach the heights that Shedeur did. You didn't see multiple upon multiple videos coming out from these Cleveland media people talking about Shedeur talking about Myles Garrett getting that speeding ticket. But it's things like that that played out to me during the offseason that tried to hurt.
Slow-mo drills, a coach promising a fresh start. Then give it a few games, one awkward presser, one red zone stall, and the old chaos returns like lake effect snow. Drama isn't an accident here, it's tradition. Coaches whisper about culture, fans scream about quarterbacks, and the media plays director, choosing who's the hero, who's the villain, and when it's time for a twist. This season was supposed to be the one with a young quarterback, a united locker room, and a smarter system. Look closer, and the cracks were already showing. The same analysts praising the new direction were sharpening knives for the first misstep. When it came, they pounced. Gabriel's quiet confidence was repackaged as arrogance. His poise became detachment. Every expression turned into a segment. Build you up on Monday, bury you by Friday. That's the business model. And it didn't start with Dillon. It started when another name got dragged for daring to be different. Before Dillon ever faced the fire, the storm had already taken Shedeur.
Is on 9 targets for wide receivers.
Yes. That's ridiculous.
Why?
Because
is it Dillon? He can't throw the ball downfield. He can't throw the ball.
Does he not see the guys down the field? That's one thing.
And he has seen.
Jeff, I watched
he has seen players down the field his entire college career playing behind 6'5", 6'6" offensive linemen. I don't want to hear he can't see because
Jeff,
the guy was a Heisman finalist by throwing the ball downfield and seeing.
It's just about height. It's about not reading
The media didn't just critique him, it caricatured him. Reckless, arrogant, undeserving of hype. It began with a nothing burger, a speeding ticket. No chase, no confrontation, just a ticket. Cleveland turned it into a referendum on leadership. Radio shows moralized for a week, dissecting maturity like a lab specimen. 2 weeks later, Myles Garrett got the same ticket. Zero moral theater, zero lectures, just a brief mention and silence. Same offense, different coverage. That's the game. Outrage is targeted. When a player fits the safe template, he's protected. When he's too confident, too unfiltered, he's painted as a problem. What those headlines never bothered to mention, while the press dragged Shedeur, he was visiting schools, talking to kids. No cameras, no PR team, just showing up. Authenticity doesn't trend, but it threatens a machine built on image. Shedeur didn't fit the template. Calm, confident, unfiltered, everything local coverage couldn't control. Instead of celebrating it, they labeled it ego. The shift in tone trained the public for what came next. He wasn't a fit, he was a distraction. Then Dillon arrived. Clean cut, polite, marketable, and the city grabbed the easier story. When Gabriel showed up, Cleveland exhaled. After months of debates over Shedeur, fans wanted calm. Dillon looked like calm. The narrative locked in instantly. Steady, safe, grown up. Every camp throw was proof the Browns had found balance. Insiders whispered that Kevin Stefanski had his guy. For a blink, caution got mistaken for progress. Dillon stacked a couple clean drives and stat lines. No disasters, no magic. For a moment, that was enough. Then the slow losses began, familiar and suffocating. Praise softened to patience, patience to warning, warning to smirks. Whispers became questions. Is he the answer? Did Cleveland crown the wrong man? No one wanted to say it out loud yet. You don't abandon a savior mid-season unless forced. The countdown ended the night a mic stayed hot. It happened fast. A reporter known for playing it safe forgot the switch and torched Gabriel on air, called him a ceiling, not a solution, ripped the front office for pretending he was ready, even questioned Stefanski for betting a season on caution. It wasn't analysis, it was an execution. Shows looped the clip, podcasts dissected syllables, and the internet did what it does, turned disaster into entertainment. Memes flew, interception chronicles, 50 shades of screen passes. But the real revelation wasn't the leak, it was the pivot. The very voices that sold Dillon as the future started rewriting history. We always had concerns. They recast themselves in real time, and in the chaos, another name returned, Shedeur, now framed as a maybe we were too harsh. Cleveland's favorite magic trick, rewrite the script, pretend it was always the script, was exposed in 4K. Fans noticed. Players noticed. Inside the building, people started asking what else was curated, what else was spin. The clip didn't just scorch a quarterback, it cracked the franchise's self-image. The moment it hit social, the team lost control. Twitter turned into a street fight. Reddit labored over breakdowns. National pages turned hot mic roast quarterback into oxygen. The fan base split, half defending Dillon as betrayed by media, half saying the leak confirmed every missed read they'd seen for weeks. PR tried a unity statement. It backfired into a trending hashtag mocking the spin. Players like cryptic posts about accountability.
I stayed silent for more than 2 decades.
Communication and focus line.
Maybe.
The subtext was
but sometimes love doesn't look like it does in the movies, sweetheart. Sometimes it hurts. She nodded, and I realized I was teaching my child something no mother ever wants to teach. I wrote about my youth, about the roles I'd play.
The kid crucified for confidence had become the example of composure. The safe pick had become the punchline. For once, the media couldn't fully rewrite because the audience had receipts. When the noise settled, the pattern remained. The Browns sell hope with a new face, then force that face through a grinder of hype, denial, and reset. Coaches cling to their guys. Executives mistake denial for strategy. Media milks clicks, then claims innocence. Stefanski wanted Dillon to be proof the system works, but the attempt exposed how little had changed. Players felt it, quiet tension after missed throws, eyes that said the speeches weren't landing. Meanwhile, the same outlets that built the pedestal covered the collapse like they had no part in the architecture. That's the cycle. Build the myth, watch it burn, cash the rating. This time the burn illuminated something else. Shedeur hadn't cracked. Through the smears, he stayed steady. The conversation shifted from too flashy to maybe we didn't let him grow. By late season, the question wasn't who's the guy, it was how does this keep happening? Different names, same heartbreak. The real curse isn't the players, it's the pattern. Cleveland doesn't lose because it picks the wrong people. It loses because it refuses to let the right ones grow. Gabriel isn't the first to get chewed up by that system, and Shedeur won't be the last if the machine doesn't change. The franchise builds saviors and breaks them the moment reality intrudes. Still, there's that stubborn beauty. Fans keep coming back like believers to a bruised cathedral. They don't just want wins, they want redemption. That's why this saga stings, because it isn't only about football, it's about faith that survives disappointment. So where does it go from here? The hot mic moment won't be the last twist. Maybe the front office doubles down on damage control, swaps narratives again, and hopes the timeline cools. Maybe the staff admits the obvious, that leadership means adjusting when reality punches the script. Maybe the next chapter isn't another savior poster, but honest reps, real competition, and the humility to roll with the quarterback who actually elevates the huddle. If that's Shedeur, own it. If it's Dillon after real growth, own that too. What can't happen is the same old charade. Spin a myth, ration hope, and call it process. Cleveland has a roster that can hit, a defense that can travel, and a fan base that sells out its lungs in sub-zero wind. What they need is an offense that tells the truth with its choices. Right now, the city stands at a familiar crossroads. Cling to a narrative or commit to reality. The hot mic didn't doom Dillon Gabriel. It exposed an ecosystem that turns quarterbacks into content. It didn't vindicate Shedeur by itself. His steadiness did. If the Browns want out of the loop, they have to do the boring revolutionary thing. Let performance beat politics. Let timing follow tape. And the walls at the Browns facility are still whispering about it. Word is, Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel went from cool teammates to full-on rivals in under a minute. And when Stefanski tried to play peacemaker, even his clipboard needed therapy afterward. This wasn't a meeting anymore. It was a Cleveland soap opera with shoulder pads, pride, and pure chaos on max volume. It kicked off like any normal day in Berea, which, let's be real, means nothing was normal at all. The room felt thick with ambition, stale Gatorade, and the ghosts of old draft picks, while Stefanski rapped a robotic pep talk that sounded like IKEA instructions instead of NFL fire. Then it hit out of nowhere. A helmet flew across the room like it was training for the shot put, and the soundtrack of destruction practically played itself. On one side stood Shedeur, dripped out, confident, the walking definition of a highlight reel. And on the other, Dillon, calm on the surface with a quiet storm brewing in his eyes. Suddenly it wasn't a quarterback competition. It was a gladiator battle in cleats, and the head coach didn't have a page in the playbook for that.
Losing every aspect of the Browns, whether it's the locker room, whether it's the fan base, and even the media that was fine with pushing his propaganda and fine with pushing how amazing and elite Dillon Gabriel is and how much they trust him to run this offense. Now, we're not here to make fun of Dillon Gabriel. We already did that yesterday. At the end of the day, he's a rookie being put in a tough situation with a coach who has an archaic, terrible, awful, bland, predictable offense in Kevin.
Stefanski froze like a man realizing there's no section labeled quarterback cage match in the manual, and you could see the silent "not again" on his face. This is Cleveland. Last week, a drone interrupted practice. This week, the locker room turned into Hard Knocks Dysfunction Edition, and next week, we'll probably top it somehow.
Stefanski, hard to figure it out, but we know Kevin Stefanski's ass. How do you feel about not playing clean?
Me, it was Shedeur. I didn't see any interceptions when he was out there. Didn't see anything like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think Dillon Gabriel did a bad job. I was impressed with the brother, but I'm going to go with Shedeur. You know, the pressure was on him. The spotlight was on him. He showed up out on the field. You know, he played better than expected, reminded everybody who he is and what he brings to the table.
This wasn't just an argument. It was performance art, two entertainers fighting center stage with an invisible crowd in their heads. Shedeur preached leadership and owning the spotlight like it's part of the job, while Dillon countered with grind, study, and accountability like he was hosting a motivational podcast. Neither of them is shy, so it felt like two mirrors arguing over who shines brighter while the team tried not to blink. Players started retaping ankles and fixing laces just to hang nearby and catch every word, while Stefanski stood in the middle with that forced calm voice coaches use before they Google high school golf jobs. Shedeur pointed at his locker like it was a throne and dropped his bag with movie star flair. Message clear, this is my team.
Really say about Dillon Gabriel over the next 3.5 hours? Well, he was composed. Great. You know how he conducted himself? He conducted himself how a career backup should conduct himself, where you just hope that you're able to hold down the fort until the regular starter comes back. The problem is, we don't have a regular starter that comes back. Well, we do, but nobody wants to see him. So nobody wants that to happen. So here we have to hope that Dillon Gabriel, a guy who is certainly limited, a guy who's smart enough to probably be a coach in the NFL someday, has to go out there and conduct an offense. And we just little bit. And we have to hope that Quinshon Judkins is able to carry us into the...
Dillon clapped his hands in a ready, set, go rhythm. Not for a snap, but as a silent, I'm not moving signal that said plenty without a word. The debate turned to pure theater. Two quarterbacks, one franchise, and one stressed coach, wondering if the Browns even have HR for emotional earthquakes. Stefanski had to step in. That's the gig. Look calm while chaos does cartwheels. Talk teamwork while the room buzzes like a live wire. Both QBs nodded as he spoke, but their eyes screamed war, and the silent captions above their heads read,
Shedeur. We getting some new information out of Cleveland that the Cleveland Browns veteran players are about to turn their back on Kevin Stefanski. And is he losing control over the locker room? Now, we've seen this whole quarterback situation play out through the draft. We've seen what's happening in the training camp, seen what's happening in practice, and we've seen what's happening in preseason. Now, all camp long, there's reports that was surfacing and people in the media.
I'm nodding, but I'm plotting. The room split down the middle, half writing with Shedeur's flash swagger and a last name that echoes, the other half with Dillon's quiet assassin vibe and film room receipts. The energy was electric, divided, and one spark from exploding. This wasn't just football anymore. It was pride and identity dressed in orange and brown. Shedeur pulled out his phone mid-argument, maybe a reflection check, maybe to draft a cryptic, some talk leadership, others live it post, and the silence snapped like a string. Dillon laughed, that slow, mocking echo through the locker's laugh that doesn't need words to say disrespect, and the whole room went, oh, in unison. Stefanski realized coaching isn't just X's and O's, it's surviving emotional earthquakes, and tried to cut it off, but the clout scoreboard had already been lit.
You know, Tyson Campbell did get a little deep fried a little bit, but you know, he also played halfway decent. So you know, it seemed like the
around the edge got him free.
Obviously, we're getting to Dillon Gabriel. As you see, he's gonna throw this ball, and Patrick McQueen's gonna dive into him right here in this midsection area here, right? And it's just not gonna look the greatest. It's not gonna look the greatest. He tried to and I would feel upset too. I would feel real upset.
So he called a full team meeting. Players in a semicircle like detention. Quarterbacks on opposite ends pretending to scroll phones that were probably on airplane mode. Outside, PR typed emergency drafts just in case. We're aware of a passionate internal discussion, which is code for someone almost got smacked with a cleat. By morning, reports leaked, not from players, allegedly from the top, that Stefanski worried about chemistry, which sounded a lot like my quarterbacks are trying to out-charisma each other. Twitter split faster than the Browns' playoff hopes, half writing for Shedeur's confidence, half backing Dillon as the overlooked grinder, and the memes rained like confetti. This wasn't just a quarterback controversy, it was a reality show, and the new episode dropped every few hours with fresh edits and hashtags. Receivers didn't even know whose passes to chase in drills.
Gabriel was pressured on 41% of the snaps that they played yesterday for the Cleveland Browns. So,
what was everybody's first reaction to Shedeur versus the Rams? They were like, the offensive line was trash and he was getting pressured. I called that out and I said they're running cover one. Kevin Stefanski didn't have answers versus cover one and he was getting pressured too much. You know what people told me? He needs to throw the ball away. I said, is that the only answer you have? Yes, he needs to throw the ball away. So Dillon Gabriel, 40% pressure rate. You just need to get rid of the ball because that's what they told us about.
The tension was so thick you could bottle it and sell it as Cleveland cologne. Even the equipment crew started labeling footballs for Shedeur only and for Dillon only to dodge drama like pros dodging flags. Then came the practice where everything boiled over again. If stress had a scent, the field reeked of it. Shedeur took the first snap like a Nike spot, chin high, rhythm smooth, cameras invisible. Then Dillon fired an audible loud enough to echo across Lake Erie. Every throw became a statement, every look a challenge.
Football stuff and check it down if it ain't there. Kevin Stefanski likes his offense. He wants his offense to control what they're doing and dictate everything. And Dillon Gabriel is more suited to that mindset than Shedeur Sanders. It's the reason why I believe Deshaun Watson struggled. I think it's the reason why Joe Flacco showed you just now. How is Kevin Stefanski going to put the cuffs on me? And I'm Flacco. I didn't already showed you what I can do, but you want me to.
And even the football felt conflicted about its loyalty. At one point, they both called a huddle at the same time. 2 kings, 1 crown, and the team froze mid-stride like traffic at a dead light. Stefanski reached for the only thing that could decide it clean, a coin. And yes, he flipped it to pick which huddle to follow, which felt ridiculous and perfectly Cleveland all at once. Word is the coach sat in his office that night staring at the whiteboard like it had betrayed him, replaying every leaders of men line he'd ever said. The fan base was divided, the group chat was a war zone, and Stefanski tried selling ownership the old conflict builds character pitch while thinking about padded locker room walls. Media day was a scene. Both QBs slid in with sunglasses indoors like movie stars at a press junket, making it clear neither was backing down. Reporters fired questions about leadership, chemistry, and unity, while Shedeur dropped polished brand consultant answers and Dillon delivered TED Talk calm with more than a little shade. The cameras loved it, the internet clipped it, and the Browns' quarterback drama went fully public with smiles that didn't fool anyone. Stefanski smiled like a hostage blinking for help in Morse code.
0 for 4 on 3rd down because Dillon was playing not to lose.
Don't throw it to them. Don't put it on the ground. And he did a great job of that. But on one of those third downs, you have to try to make a play to win the football game. And trust me, no matter what Stefanski called, Shedeur would try to win the football game because it's how he was raised. You're going to make a play because you were born to make a play.
Let's not grade it because we want to see Shedeur. Let's grade it fairly. That's all I'm saying. I graded it fairly.
And everyone pretended this was fine for 5 more minutes. Behind the scenes, the rivalry went micro. Who had the cleaner locker? More autographs, more likes. It turned into an ego Olympics with 2 gold medals up for grabs. During film, they even did a silent stare down. No words, no movement, until the projector gave up and powered off like it refused to participate. Stefanski pulled the emergency lever. Team building retreat. Brown's language for, please don't fight in public again. And yes, the groans were audible. They got split on opposite paintball teams. Reports say Shedeur went action hero yelling leadership with each splat, while Dillon built a bunker out of dummies and called it accountability. You couldn't script it, Cleveland theater at its finest, and somehow the coach kept that poker face like everything was part of the process. He told press the team was focused on the next game, but inside the building, everyone knew the real game was power. Practice settled for a minute, and then a charity event broke the truce when someone asked both QBs to sign the same football like a peace token. Allegedly, that ball left the building at escape velocity and might still be orbiting Northeast Ohio.
We're gonna go ahead and go play stupid like Dillon Gabriel didn't get 52 passing attempts, get sacked 6 times, have a quarterback rating of 34, and look as bad as possible. And Kevin Stefanski continues to gaslight and tell people that, yeah, it's my decision, he gives us the best chance to win. Is he watching?
Because of course it is. Leadership meetings turned into cage match energy. Quarterbacks became brand ambassadors for chaos, and Stefanski survived by acting like this circus was educational. He didn't want clicks, he wanted control, but in Cleveland, even honesty has to go viral to breathe. The Browns weren't a team anymore. They were a weekly series. Every practice a new episode, every argument a push alert, another leak hit, not a whisper to a beat writer, but a full video from inside, a friendly post-practice throwing contest that looked like 2 QBs trying to overthrow each other, and the concept of teamwork. Shedeur rifled one so hard it dented a Gatorade cooler.
I can tell you, everything has backfired. Due to the sabotage of Shedeur Sanders, every coach looked like they don't know what they was talking about or what they was doing in the draft. You have a bunch of teams looking like they failed at drafting a quarterback, which it was predicted that Shedeur Sanders would go first or second behind Cam Ward. Which Skip Bayless said this is the best quarterback he's seen, and you know he's the biggest Tom Brady fan, hands down. He said he could be as good or greater than Tom Brady. That's Skip Bayless on the words, as he watched a lot of quarterbacks come up over years and years. You cannot make this up. Now, here we are, as we're watching the Cleveland Browns go down in shambles. As you watch Dillon Gabriel's gameplay, what I can tell you, yes, he didn't throw no interceptions, but you know.
And Dillon answered with a moon ball to the parking lot that an unlucky intern chased like a lost puppy. The clip did numbers, millions of views, instant memes, and fans arguing like it was election night, and the facility felt louder than a Bravo reunion. PR begged Stefanski to speak up, but he stared at the ceiling for 20 seconds and whispered something about weathering storms, looking 10 years older than preseason. Warm-ups got petty. Shedeur called my reps before drills like a line in the sand, and the air popped with static every time he stepped up. At the presser, a brave reporter asked the only question that mattered. Coach, does this team have a leadership issue? And you could see the coach's soul grab a suitcase. He forced a tight smile that read, "Ask me again and I'll combust on camera," which hushed the room for half a beat. Then, spectacle, Shedeur strolled in cool as ever, and the camera snapped like fireworks. And seconds later, Dillon walked in too, because destiny loves drama. They sat at opposite ends like candidates, answering questions with cleaner quotes than a campaign, growth, unity, lessons, standard, a duel of vocabulary that fooled exactly no one. For the moment, it looked like peace. Temporary, awkward peace. The kind that ends the headline with, "For now," and sets a timer we all can hear. That night, someone saw Stefanski alone at a diner, staring into coffee like it held the answers, calm on the outside, shocked serenity on the inside. This city doesn't do quiet for long. Heartbreak is guaranteed, weather runs wild, and the Browns will always find a way to make noise. Here's the bottom line. This is bigger than depth charts and scripted reps. It's about a room deciding who they'll follow when the heat's on and the clock is mean. The offense needs rhythm. The defense needs relief. The huddle needs one voice, not two competing podcasts. And the coach needs to pick a lane with conviction. Give each quarterback a real evaluation window with the ones, equal periods, equal calls, equal pressure. And let the tape choose, not the noise. If Shedeur's timing and command flip the field, say it out loud and own it. If Dillon's steadiness wins the room back, say that too and ride it clean. Nothing heals a split like a plan. Clarity calms the building, and accountability travels well in the AFC North. Want more straight-up Browns chaos with receipts like this? And subscribe so you don't miss the next twist when it hits the feed. Until then, Cleveland is living episode to episode, but even a soap opera needs a lead, and the season won't wait for a coin flip twice. Pick the voice, back the choice, and let the huddle breathe. Because the only thing worse than the wrong decision is no decision at all. If you vibed with this breakdown, smash like, hit subscribe, and share it with the dog pound. See you next time when the story writes its next wild chapter.
Some difficult decisions were made by the organization today.
But I think right now in the best situation is what we're attempting to do here now is create the best environment.
Right now, the Browns claim they're creating the best environment moving forward, but fans aren't buying it. The team just died, and people think it's because he tried to, not for bad performance, not for office drama, but something way worse. Fired their GM sabotage Shedeur Sanders. Deliberate sabotage behind closed doors. Reports say Shedeur was boxed out. No first-team reps, no fair shot, barely any opportunities. But when a leaked scrimmage clip hit the internet, everything exploded. The rookie they tried to bury was lighting up the field. The clip went viral overnight and forced the Browns to act fast. So what really happened inside that camp? Why was Shedeur being silenced? And what made ownership finally step in? At first, it all looked like a normal rotation. Maybe they were easing him in, right? But soon, things fell off. While Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel got full speed, 11-on-11 drills with top receivers, Shedeur was left doing developmental reps.
Even more Browns are coming out and supporting Shedeur Sanders, even though it seems like he's not given the reps that he deserves. Shedeur Sanders is being sabotaged.
The kind usually reserved for players coaches don't plan to keep. Even worse, he was throwing to practice squad players and defensive backs acting as wideouts. Meanwhile, Pickett was connecting with Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore like it was Sunday Night Football. Fans started asking the real question. Why was one of college football's most composed and precise QBs suddenly being treated like an afterthought? Something didn't add up, and the truth was about to break wide open. Then came the media spin. Suddenly, numbers started circulating. Reports claimed Shedeur went 3 for 8 in drills. But what they didn't mention, those weren't even full reps. The plays were broken. The timing was off. And his receivers were third-string fill-ins. There was no rhythm, no chemistry, and no real chance to shine. It wasn't bad management anymore. It felt personal. Whispers started spreading fast. Was someone inside the Browns holding Shedeur back on purpose? The red flags weren't just there. They were flashing bright. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was supposed to be a quiet, closed-door practice. No cameras, no media, no noise. But what happened that day blew the lid off everything. Buried on the depth chart, Shedeur finally got a rare chance to take real snaps in a controlled scrimmage. And he didn't just play, he dominated. In only 12 snaps, he threw 3 touchdowns, including a flawless 2-minute drill capped with a walk-off score. Insiders said he sliced through the defense like a veteran, hitting Harrison Bryant with a 27-yard dart, then firing a sideline strike to Amari Cooper so sharp that coaches literally stopped and whispered, "This kid's the real deal." That single scrimmage flipped everything and proved the sabotage rumors might not be so crazy after all. Here's the kicker. Kenny Pickett, the guy getting all the first-team reps, completely fell apart. During the very same scrimmage, his mechanics broke down, his footwork was off, and he threw a brutal red zone interception that had scouts and VIPs shaking their heads in disbelief.
Shedeur Sanders has picked up the offense well. He's working at it well. He's doing a lot of great things to ensure that, more positive things.
That wasn't just a good day for Shedeur. It was the day that exposed everything. The coaching staff tried to bury it, but someone recorded the final touchdown. And that one secret clip changed everything. At 2:13 a.m., a 23-second video appeared online. No watermark, no ESPN logo. Just raw footage of Shedeur Sanders dropping back, scanning the defense, and firing a perfect strike to Cedric Tillman in the end zone. By noon, the video had already passed 1.2 million views, and NFL Twitter was on fire. The hashtag #FreeShedeur exploded first in Cleveland, then nationwide. Fans weren't just amazed by the throw. They were furious that it had been hidden. The Browns hadn't posted a single highlight from that scrimmage. Not one mention in team reports. No clips, no shout-outs. But now, the truth was public, undeniable, and viral. Everyone was asking the same question: why isn't this kid competing for QB1? And more importantly, what else were the Browns hiding inside that facility? Things spiraled out of control fast. Coaches were scrambling, PR went into full lockdown, and the Browns' entire quarterback situation was on fire. That 23-second clip, reportedly filmed by a staffer, had blown the lid off a controversy they'd been trying to bury for weeks, and once it leaked, the cover-up couldn't hold any longer, because what came next made it even worse. First came the video, but then came the receipts. A leaked text thread, allegedly between GM Andrew Berry and a Browns staffer, surfaced online. And these messages weren't vague. They sounded strategic. They hinted at one mission: keep Shedeur off the radar. No first-team snaps, no media clips, no mic'd-up moments, no viral highlights. One line even read, "He ain't got no time, dog. Feels like he's in Colorado again." Whether those texts were 100% real or not didn't even matter. The damage was already done. Fans saw it as proof of a cover-up, not just a mismanaged rookie. Public trust was shattered. To them, this wasn't player development. It was sabotage, plain and simple. And just when things couldn't possibly get worse,
he ain't got no time, dog. Like, look at this. He feels like he's in Colorado. I think that going from 3-8 to getting no real reps other than those other reps, I'm not sure why those aren't counted. I guess they're on 11-on-11. They're not 7-on-7s, right? Again, back to JJ Watt. Y'all know, we don't know what we're looking. He's tired of answering questions about the quarterback competition, and that might be the reason why, hey, let's not give Shedeur any reps. Or were they trying to prove a point to Shedeur?
A bombshell dropped, reportedly from a frustrated minority owner. Internal emails allegedly showed Berry giving the order to limit Shedeur's momentum. No red zone sequences, no high-pressure reps, no chance to outshine the vets. Even if only half of it was true, it painted a brutal picture. A front office desperate to control not just practice snaps, but the entire narrative. This wasn't just mismanagement. It was manipulation. The question wasn't if GM Andrew Berry would be fired, but how soon. While fans were connecting dots, the media tried to twist the story. Headlines suddenly downplayed Shedeur's performance. Sanders goes 3 for 8 in team drills, struggles with timing, but they left out the truth. Those stats came from broken reps with third-string receivers and no full team rhythm. He wasn't even allowed to call live protections. Meanwhile, Kenny Pickett's poor scrimmage numbers magically vanished from reports. Then came the leak that blew it all wide open. Internal grade sheets. They showed Shedeur posting +4 EPA expected points added in camp, while Pickett logged -6. One was driving efficient series, the other ending them in turnovers. According to insiders, those numbers were deliberately hidden from the public. Sources claim Berry even fed cherry-picked stats to friendly reporters.
Yes, we have an idea in terms of when we think they may hit the field. I have just learned by just being so wrong on that with the
making Shedeur look inconsistent while sweeping Pickett's mistakes under the rug. This wasn't biased reporting anymore. It was information warfare. And now the story wasn't dying, it was catching fire because fans realized the Browns weren't just misjudging talent, they were managing perception. They weren't just mismanaging him, they were orchestrating a takedown. By now, everyone could tell something was seriously off, but when insiders revealed how deep the sabotage ran, it became undeniable. On July 20th and 21st, Shedeur Sanders reportedly got 0 first-team reps. Not a single 11-on-11 snap, not one moment with the starting offensive line. Instead, he was pushed into developmental drills, sessions usually meant for rookies fighting to make the practice squad, while Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel ran smooth, full-speed sets behind clean pockets. Shedeur was throwing to backup assistants and even defenders filling in as receivers. One viral clip from July 22nd said it all. Shedeur completed a perfect pass to a defensive back subbing in at wideout, while Pickett ran the same play with Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore. It wasn't training, it was exile.
I think the main difference in that year is we were at 3. So I think I've said multiple times on the record that as long as we have 3 quarterbacks that we think are 53-man worthy, we'd like.
Then came the leaked depth chart. Internal logs showed Shedeur was locked at QB4, restricted from calling protections or running 2-minute drills. He wasn't being benched, he was being systematically erased from the competition. Former Browns scout Marcus Willoughby summed it up best. This wasn't about skill, it was fear. They knew if Shedeur got a real shot, the so-called media favorite quarterbacks would get exposed. The Browns front office thought they could contain the story, bury the footage, and spin the narrative. But after that viral clip hit the internet, even ownership had to step in. Because the cover-up had finally blown wide open, head coach Kevin Stefanski had reportedly been frustrated for weeks. Behind closed doors, he'd already told team owner Jimmy Haslam that the quarterback reps weren't being handled fairly. He wanted a decision made based on performance, not politics. But after that 23-second viral touchdown clip dropped, there was no turning back. Inside the Browns facility, pressure hit a breaking point. Players began speaking up, saying Shedeur had clearly outperformed Kenny Pickett, while fan outrage was exploding online. Then came the breaking point, an emergency ownership vote. According to insiders, the Browns held a late-night meeting on July 25th. The result, a 4-1 vote to fire GM Andrew Berry immediately. No warning, no PR cleanup. He was reportedly told to pack up before the next day of camp even began. The message was loud and clear. Favoritism is finished. For the first time in weeks, it looked like a new beginning, but the damage was already done. What started as fan paranoia had turned into undeniable truth. The Browns didn't just underestimate Shedeur Sanders, they tried to bury him. No reps, no exposure, no chance, all while hyping a veteran quarterback who was throwing red zone interceptions.
Coach, former Alabama coach, is trying to come to the big leagues again, bro. There has been...
And when Shedeur finally got his shot, he lit up the field, shredding the depth chart and exposing the ugly reality inside Cleveland's camp. From leaked texts to fake stats, everything pointed to one thing. This wasn't bad coaching. It was a controlled narrative gone wrong. In the end, it cost the GM his job. But it raises a bigger question. How many other young players are silenced before fans ever get to see their potential? How many Shedeur Sanders stories get buried behind politics and media control? Because while this chapter ends with a GM's downfall, the real story is just beginning. Now that Shedeur's broken free from the chains, the NFL might be about to witness a fire that no one, not even his critics, is ready for.
Original question. Albert Greer says it's kind of unfortunate that the NFL's official account is tweeting this out without the actual question, which was how Gabriel and the quarterbacks are trying to make sure the outside noise doesn't infiltrate what's going on internally. It wasn't a shot.
Breaking news, and it's pure chaos in front of a national audience, and the jokes crashed harder than a canceled reality show. Fans froze, then flooded the comments, and Dillon started trending for all the wrong reasons in minutes. Picture it. Dillon wakes up, checks his phone, and decides, today, I'm roasting Shedeur on live TV. Not in a meeting, not in private, not from a burner, straight to the cameras with a smirk like he was untouchable. That's not confidence, and he aimed it at the one fan base you never disrespect, part football royalty.
Entertainers, and you have a job to do. And I respect it, right? And I'm a competitor, so I have a job to do as well. And I think, just understanding that, that's how I've lived by, and I've said that multiple times. So definitely not a new quote, but something that...
Part pop culture machine, all gas, no brakes. Dillon walked into that segment like a guy carrying a spark into a fireworks factory. And the blast was instant. He's talented, sure, but talent doesn't save you from, and this choice was a Hall of Fame mistake. It felt less like quarterback talk and more like an audition for Who Wants to Lose a Fan Base, because that sells out stadiums and steals every camera shot with one grin. Shedeur Sanders just got roasted on live TV by Dillon Gabriel career sabotage. With a smile, Shedeur Nation bad choices. Shedeur isn't just a player, he's a movement. Challenging Shedeur on live TV is like walking into Gordon Ramsay's kitchen with instant noodles and saying, let's cook. It's not brave, it's reckless. And the wildest part wasn't the line, it was the aftermath. X, Twitter, turned into a digital war zone as Shedeur fans became investigators, meme editors, and clip hunters within minutes. They pulled angles, screens, and slow-mo replays so fast that Dillon couldn't even sip a sports drink before it turned into a GIF timeline of regret. Welcome to the Sanders Effect.
Entertainers, there's competitors, we're entertainers, we're journalists, but what he said, I guess you could what do you think about that? What's your reaction to his comments there?
Well, I was watching this game live, and I watched that interview live, and I watched what he said. Now, here I am coloring in all of the context for you guys. When he was being interviewed, you could tell he was nervous and kind of didn't want to be there. He was kind of want to get back to the sideline and watch the game. And so that question followed up when he was given shorter answers. So when he said that, I felt like he was directly talking to Aditi Kiobwala and saying, you guys are entertainers.
It's real and it's ruthless. People who come at Shedeur either apologize on camera, claim it was a joke, or sit while he quietly drops another 300 yards like it's just another Saturday. It's not a rivalry, it's a pattern, and challenging Shedeur means you become a meme, not a winner. Now imagine you're Dillon's coach. You preach discipline, focus, professionalism for weeks.
Saying there's entertainers, meaning those of us in the media or those that are criticizing, and he's a competitor, and in this context, he's not listening to the noise. Is that what you're trying to translate? Because I'm hearing a small jab there at Shedeur as being an entertainer with the top watch and everything like that and everything.
Then your QB goes rogue on national TV like he's trying out for a roast show that never aired. Every press conference now starts with, Coach, how's Dillon holding up after the Shedeur situation? And all you can do is smile and pretend it's fine while the internet keeps cooking. Meanwhile, Shedeur doesn't even lift a finger. One photo, one cryptic caption, silence, and the timeline explodes without him saying a word. That's the power play. When you're that guy, you don't chase beef. Beef shows up at your door and asks for a selfie. Here's the kicker. The insult wasn't even clever. If you're going to risk your rep on live TV, bring wit, bring heat, bring something. Not a wet sandwich one-liner that made the cameraman want to clock out. If you're going to roast yourself in front of millions, at least make it a watching someone light their own rep on fire trying to roast a superstar. And this isn't just sports chatter, it's pop culture now.
If I'm Shedeur, I'm like, duck. Direct shot at Shedeur. And I don't know Dillon Gabriel, but I know the dynamics in which he's dealing with. I've told you guys countless times how many teammates I've had, and whether it was me in that position or other teammates where you had a love-hate relationship with.
Shedeur's brand breaks the football bubble. Entertainment blogs, meme pages, and late-night shows all picked up the story. What was meant to tear Shedeur down made him bigger. That's not a diss. That's free marketing in HD. What's next? Dillon will try to ball out and stack touchdowns, but every score comes with someone yelling, "Aren't you the guy?" And every broadcast will slide the clip back on screen. Every snap now carries the weight of that one decision. While Shedeur stays quiet, stacks highlights, and acts like Dillon doesn't exist, that's revenge through excellence. Dillon basically handed his rival a sword, and Shedeur hung it on the wall like art. That's how unfazed he is. You don't poke this bear. You nod, say great shoes, compliment the post-game fit, and keep it moving while cameras are on. Dillon wanted a viral moment, and he got one. Just not the kind that brings endorsements and respect. There's enough history here to make a docu-series called How Not to Talk About Shedeur Sanders, because every coach, player, and analyst who tried it ended up backpedaling like a corner chasing Tyreek. Still, Dillon walked into that studio like he was invincible.
Agree with it,
Mike
or
hot,
I don't even
brain
need to be
cold, confidence on 10,
I think
and decided today's the day
It keeps coming
I test
back wearing the
Shedeur
same
Nation.
brutal
A litmus test. You ever been on a team? Go grab that team photo. Right now, how many of those guys can you name? Go. Not all of them, for sure. 50%, most people can't. It's because we're not all connected, even though we're all a part of the same thing. So Dillon Gabriel is connected to the Cleveland Browns because he got drafted 3rd round, excited for his opportunity and trying to make the squad. Hours later, they draft another guy who has now taken not only Cleveland, but the whole football world by storm. And now, every time Dillon Gabriel hears his name, he hears
Shedeur Nation does not forgive, and it does not forget. They don't take prisoners, they take screenshots. Within hours, X turned into a courtroom. Dillon was the defendant, and the fan base pulled old stats, bad plays, awkward photos, even youth clips with captions like, "Been mid since 2009. This wasn't just a roast, it was research. And the memes were ruthless, with his quote turned into punchlines and reaction edits faster than ESPN could rerun the segment. He wanted fame and got it. But now when his name trends, it's about the day he challenged Shedeur and became a cautionary tale. At this rate, his legacy risks turning into a footnote on Shedeur's Wikipedia page, which is wild. The timing made it worse. This wasn't a leak or hot mic moment. He chose live national TV under bright lights, and that's like robbing a bank at noon and waving at the cameras. He didn't just open the door to criticism, he rolled out a red carpet and handed critics a microphone. Meanwhile, Shedeur said nothing. Silence became the knockout punch, and the internet ran the circus while he sipped water and stayed cool. That's the level he's on. His fans fight the battles while he keeps winning. It's power without effort. Now, practices aren't just drills.
Very interesting comments. He said, there are entertainers and there are competitors, and my job is to compete. Right. He tried to clarify later at the presser, saying he meant the media are the entertainers and a competitor, and he's a competitor, and he wasn't taking a shot at Shedeur. But the damage was done. Everybody knows what he meant by that, because you know why? And I'm gonna let you take off. You remember at Oregon what the head coach said when they played Colorado?
Right.
Who was the quarterback?
Yeah.
Who was the quarterback?
They're dodge the question sessions as reporters ask, so what did you think about your comments on Shedeur? And the locker room stress is through the roof. Boosters are heated too. You don't mess with the name that sells tickets, drives segments, and moves jerseys. Shedeur isn't just a quarterback. He's a brand and an economy, and the market reacts when you try him. So we're in the official damage control era. Expect long Instagram notes, carefully scripted interviews, and teammates saying misunderstood and out of context, even though the context was live TV. Meanwhile, Shedeur's stock climbs. He turned the whole situation into a flex without lifting a finger, and Dillon is getting memed into orbit. The edits are gold. Dillon at open mic night. Dillon as the "this is fine" dog. Dillon as the side character who only exists to make the hero look better. He's trending as comedy fuel. Here's what Dillon missed. Recruiting and scouting care about character as much as arm talent, and this screamed iffy decision-making under bright lights. Scouts will note, yeah, he can throw, but what happens when a mic shows up? And that's not the note you want on a report.
The shot at Shedeur.
You think so?
When have we ever thought about the media, those beat writers as entertainers? We've heard his coach, he was on the team when he said they're celebs.
Wait, but you can't tie him and his coach together as if they have the same mind, as if they're one. You
name the time you've ever heard someone say there are entertainers and there are competitors, and I'm here to compete. Tell me the time.
Right. Okay. Listen. Let's say he's taking a shot at Shedeur, right? At what point has he been an entertainer? He's a football player as well.
But we've heard people say that.
He wanted ESPN highlights and got tabloid heat. He wanted buzz and got a meme campaign, while Shedeur stayed chill, probably texting friends and ignoring the noise like the star he is. That's the difference. Shedeur doesn't chase clout. Clout follows him like a shadow. Dillon volunteered to be Exhibit A in Shedeur's museum of rivals who made bad choices. He practically handed over his dignity and asked for display lighting. And now everyone in the game is reminded of the golden rule. Don't mess with Shedeur unless you want to trend for the wrong reasons. This wasn't just a bad move, it's a case study in how to wreck your rep fast. And Dillon just wrote the manual so no one else has to. Fans are locked in like it's a series. Reality TV and helmets. People literally showed up to practice with snacks to watch the fallout live. Whispers of locker room tension are everywhere. Reporters smell a story, and the internet never forgets. 5 years from now, this clip will still follow him around. He could run for office, and the ad would loop his line. That's how deep it's etched.
All right, go ahead, Ocho. Go ahead.
Well, listen, I don't. Hey, Chad, I don't want to do him like that. I'm going to give Dillon Gabriel a little grace, a little understanding, because I don't think a college kid coming in as a rookie in the NFL would take that kind of shot at a teammate that he's competing with for a job. I just don't see. I don't see it. I see it as him when he says entertainers in that aspect where he said it's the media. I'm not sure how he views the media as the entertainers, but the way the media stirs the pot and creates the ruckus, and all he does is compete. I see it from.
It's like a tattoo you can't laser off. Dillon didn't just start a mess. He turned a football moment into a traveling circus and somehow became the driver of the clown car. Maybe that's the legacy now. Not franchise face, but the guy who turned one reckless sentence into a full-blown cultural event. He wanted smoke and forgot smoke brings fire. He thought throwing shade at Shedeur made him bold, but it just cramped his whole image in front of millions. He didn't start a rivalry. He launched a worldwide roast session with himself as the main course, while Shedeur grinned, stacked another win, and let the world talk. Dillon didn't just lose a moment. He lost the season's storyline and maybe the chance to be remembered for anything other than this legendary blunder. So, what do you think of Dillon Gabriel's epic meltdown? Was this the biggest cell phone in recent football history, or a recoverable PR fumble with time and wins? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and subscribe for more wild sports drama. This saga isn't done yet.
I'm not. I know if you see the quarterback play in the league right now, I know I'm capable of doing better than that.
Shedeur Sanders, the son of NFL legend Deion Primetime Sanders, just clapped back at Rex Ryan, and he didn't hold back. Rex called him out live on TV, and Shedeur made sure everyone knew he wasn't backing down. His message was clear: if you're going to take a shot at him or his family, you better not miss. But the question is, can Shedeur really prove he's got what it takes, or will he end up being the rookie that stains his dad's legendary name? The moment that had the sports world buzzing wasn't a touchdown, a fumble, or even a sideline brawl. It was a full-on rant, and it didn't happen in the locker room. It went down live on ESPN's Get Up. Rex Ryan, the big personality and former NFL coach turned analyst, leaned in during the segment and unleashed on the 22-year-old rookie quarterback who hadn't even taken a single regular season snap. His words were sharp, direct, and brutal, and social media blew up within minutes. Millions of fans saw the clip within hours. It was reposted by every major sports page out there. Some people backed Rex, saying he's just keeping it real, while others couldn't believe a 62-year-old analyst was taking such harsh shots at a kid who hasn't even proven himself on the field yet. This wasn't just another TV hot take. It hit differently because the target wasn't just any rookie. It was Shedeur Sanders, the Cleveland Browns' new quarterback and the son of one of the flashiest, most iconic players in sports history, Deion Primetime Sanders. For Rex Ryan, this was nothing new. He's built a whole reputation on being loud, bold, and straight up unfiltered. He's the guy who lives to stir the pot. From leading the New York Jets to back-to-back AFC championship games in 2009 and 2010 to coaching the Buffalo Bills, Rex has never once dodged the microphone. But even for him, this takedown of Shedeur Sanders hit different. It was cutting, dripping with hints of entitlement, wasted potential, and frustration that went far beyond the usual sports banter. And the timing? Couldn't have been worse for Shedeur. The Cleveland Browns were falling apart, sitting at a brutal 1-3 start to the 2025 season, and the team's quarterback room was a total mess. Joe Flacco was back for yet another round in Cleveland, but clearly struggling. Rookie Gabriel, the fourth rounder from Oklahoma, was waiting for his shot. And then there was Shedeur, the guy once hyped as a possible top 10 draft pick, now sitting at quarterback 3 like an afterthought. To Ryan and plenty of other critics, Shedeur's attitude told the whole story.
This kid talks, he runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback with his arms crossed like this. Get your in the front row and study and do all that.
Cameras kept catching him on the sidelines during ugly losses, arms crossed, face blank, body language screaming, "I don't care." That one image spread like wildfire online and became the perfect ammo for every doubter waiting to question his drive. Rex didn't miss the chance to pounce. During his fiery rant, he painted Shedeur as the kid who talks big but doesn't grind, the kind of player who wants the spotlight without putting in the sweat. And the reason it hit so hard? Because this blow-up didn't come out of nowhere. It was building up for weeks. Just days before the rant, Shedeur had gone on ESPN Cleveland and dropped some confident, maybe too confident, statements. For someone who hadn't played a single regular season down, those words landed like a punch to the gut for certain fans and analysts. To his supporters, it was pure swagger. Exactly what you'd expect from Deion Sanders' son, but to his critics, it was straight arrogance. To them, this was the proof they'd been waiting for. That all those whispers about Shedeur being entitled during the draft process might actually be true. Rex Ryan made it crystal clear which side he was on. And it definitely wasn't Team Shedeur. His fiery rant wasn't just a knee-jerk reaction to one interview. It was the explosion of months of built-up frustration that scouts and insiders had been whispering about behind the scenes. When Rex called Shedeur Sanders an embarrassment, it didn't come out of nowhere. It was the result of years of quiet doubts, scouting reports, and locker room talk about whether the young quarterback was really built for the NFL grind. Shedeur Sanders was never supposed to fall to the 5th round. Not long ago, draft boards had him sitting comfortably in the top 10, with analysts raving about his smooth throwing motion, pinpoint accuracy, and calm under pressure. They said he had that leadership spark, the kind of presence that could change a locker room. At Jackson State, under his father Deion's guidance, he led the Tigers to back-to-back SWAC championships. Then came Colorado. a whole new stage and bigger spotlight.
If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment that way. You got the talent to be the quarterback. You should be. You should be embarrassed that you're not the quarterback now.
Even with one of the most beaten up offensive lines in college football, Shedeur still threw for over 3,200 yards and 27 touchdowns in his final season. On paper, his stats look golden, but when draft season hit in 2025, things started to unravel fast. That's when the whispers began to surface, and they weren't flattering. One anonymous coach told NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, "It was the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life," describing Shedeur as entitled, defensive, and unwilling to take accountability. Those words spread like wildfire. And then came the story about his visit with the New York Giants, where coaches allegedly planted mistakes in the playbook on purpose just to test if the prospects were paying attention. When the Browns finally picked Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, number 143 overall, it felt more like a gamble than a celebration. This wasn't the red carpet moment many expected for Deion Sanders' son. Cleveland wasn't even in a rush to get him on the field. They already had veteran Joe Flacco, a former Super Bowl MVP, making another comeback, and they just drafted Dillon Gabriel, a mobile playmaker out of Oklahoma 1 round earlier. By the time training camp wrapped, Shedeur was buried at quarterback 3, stuck behind both a proven vet and another hungry rookie. So when he started talking like he could outplay NFL starters, Rex Ryan saw red. To Rex, that wasn't confidence. That was straight up disrespect. His old school mindset, the kind built in locker rooms where rookies carried helmets and earned their stripes, had zero tolerance for that kind of swagger from someone with 0 pro snaps. That's why his rant hit so hard. It wasn't just about how Shedeur looked on the sidelines, arms folded, eyes cold. It was everything rolled together. Months of rumors about entitlement, questions about maturity, and hype that hadn't yet turned into results. When those clashed with Shedeur's own bold words, the tension finally exploded on live TV. Fans were instantly divided. Supporters of Rex said someone had to check the young quarterback to remind him that pure talent doesn't automatically make you an NFL star. But others fired back saying Rex went too far. To them, it felt like a seasoned analyst picking on a kid who hadn't even been given a fair shot yet. And that line between tough love and taking it personal got real blurry. As the storm kept brewing, one thing became obvious. This feud wasn't going away anytime soon. The Sanders family wasn't about to sit back and let Rex Ryan's harsh words slide.
Because I think, and TJ, you correct me if I'm wrong, Bill Belichick would stand in front of his team, and I don't care if you don't have 6 Super Bowls, you should coach like you have 6 Super Bowls or plan to. And I would stand up in front of the room and say...
And soon enough, Shedeur's own mother stepped right into the spotlight, taking the drama to a whole new level. The entire NFL community was buzzing. When Rex Ryan went off on Shedeur Sanders Live on national TV, it wasn't just another fiery ESPN segment. It became the biggest sports headline of the week. The viral clip showed Rex shaking his head, his voice rising with frustration as he told Shedeur to quit being an embarrassment. Within minutes, every major sports page reposted it. ESPN, Bleacher Report, Barstool, you name it, it was everywhere. On X, the reaction split the internet in half. Some fans were cheering for Rex, saying he just said what every Browns fan's been thinking. They pointed at Shedeur's body language on the sideline. The crossed arms, the distant stare, saying he looked more like a frustrated veteran than a hungry rookie trying to earn his spot. But others weren't having it at all. They accused Rex of crossing the line, of turning his platform into a spotlight for unnecessary shade. To them, it felt personal, almost like bullying a young player who hadn't even been given the chance to prove himself yet. And it wasn't just random fans weighing in. Insiders, reporters, and former players jumped into the debate, too. Some backed Rex saying Shedeur needed that reality check, but others pushed back hard, arguing that the criticism was premature.
What do you think you have to show to the coaches to have that belief in you that y'all be ready?
The kid hadn't even played a single real game in Cleveland yet. Even inside the ESPN studio, the argument got heated. One analyst clapped back at Rex right on air, saying he was being way too harsh for a rookie who was still just trying to find his footing in the league. But Rex Ryan didn't back down, not even a little. Instead, he doubled down hard, saying the real issue wasn't Shedeur's lack of playing time. It was his attitude. Rex claimed that everyone in the